So I think we've probably done the Firefighter Arsonist before, but I think it's worthwhile today. My eyes are all messed up, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what's
How
going
many
on
fingers am
here.
I holding up?
I swear to God, I'll punch you. Wow.
Oh, two.
Why are
See?
you so rude? I slept like a boulder last night.
So did
The
I.
problem was I needed about 6 more hours. I have to do this. Sometimes the camera needs to reset. Here we go. Ready?
Oh, let me go.
Totally perfect. That's going to be better. Thank you. Okay. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh.
I took a REM last night.
Lights out. Look,
I didn't even last 15 minutes.
I'm just going to say to you guys, everybody needs to have a box of this stuff at their house. I'm just telling you. Now, I have heard from a couple people who were like, it made a REM, it didn't work for me, or I felt agitated. I'm like, I don't know how you would ever feel agitated. Because when I take REM, I feel like I've stepped into a hot bath and I'm just going to go, ooh, underneath the water. So relaxing.
I consider roofing myself because I'm out.
This is it.
I'm
This is
out.
what it looks like, you guys. Honest to God. I wasn't planning on talking about it right now, but Healthy Cells REM sleep. Look, there's also this one. If you're going to get REM, and you should, healthycell.com/Wendy, everybody in their household should have a box of this somewhere where everybody has access to it when they know that they're fussy or agitated, they're not going to get a good night's sleep and they need to go to bed. You open up one of these pouches, bada bang. Then you might as well get this one for your heart and vascular health. Why not bring down your blood pressure naturally while you're also getting great sleep? All of these are formulations at healthycell.com/Wendy. Healthycell.com/Wendy. Healthycell.com.
What is it?
Healthycell.com/Wendy.
Okay.
It's that good. Kind of like me.
It knocks
Just
me.
kidding.
It knocks me out.
Yes.
Even Kate's like, you were out last
Mhm.
night. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't hear the dog snore.
100%.
I-
100%. It is a gift. And it's really nice to have when you're so how is everybody? What's going on? You did really well yesterday. I think we were 7th, and that's great. I prefer to be 5th or 1st, but to be on the leaderboard with Rumble is, I got to say, it's amazing. You know who was never on the leaderboard, which I never understood? Donald Trump Jr.
Mm-mm.
Why?
I don't know.
Like, you have a built-in, baked-in name brand audience. They want Trump. You're Trump Jr.
Maybe because he doesn't do it on a right. It doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he does, and I just don't see it. But I don't know if he does it on a consistent. And there's something to be said for doing it the same time every day, so you become a habit.
You know what? That's very nice. Green is 122. I do not feel that way today. So thank you. Can a 15-year-old take those? Yes. There are no drugs in the
Mm-mm.
It's magnesium and it's a couple other things that occur in nature that are safe and effective. And lights out. Bye-bye. And I even gave my kids the focus and recall before they took the SAT. And I'm going to say they did really well because they had taken it before, felt very distracted. Of course, with more takes, you feel better about it. But I think it absolutely helped them focus on what they were doing and not pay attention to all the other jazz around them. Healthycell.com, I'm serious. It is solid. This is if I could invest in healthycell.com, I want to be with them for the rest of my life. That's how seriously I believe in them.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't say that about a lot of people. I say that about Healthy Cell. Shoot, I don't even think I said that about my family.
You guys can go away.
I don't know. You guys can take a break and go somewhere else for a while. Anywho, let's see. We got a good show today, obviously. We're talking about some more UFO stuff, some more space stuff.
Some of this stuff coming out. That fifth soundbite.
Don't be with your head in the sand on this. This is something that you guys got to get.
This isn't even necessarily UFO anymore.
You got to get down with this.
Yeah.
You got to understand this stuff is coming out, and the sooner we all embrace it, the sooner we can try to wrap our minds around how many alien spacecraft have crashed in the United States that we have.
Not just, it's more than just that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at me.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you and welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I say that this is a family, and it really is what we do on this network. And I think it's unlike other places, other talk shows where you kind of drift through the dials because everything we discuss impacts you. It has an impact on your life, on your happiness, on your future. And we share common sense conservative values every single day, wendybellradio.com. And I say it all the time, please join us. Get the app, download us, follow along the live video stream. And if you're out and about, share us. I appreciate that. We are a small voice telling a lot of big truths. And if you're new, hang for a while, celebrate what is the greatest blessing in the world, that is being an American, and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, when I was little growing up in Southern California, I remember stories about arson. There was a prolific arsonist in the 1980s, about the time I was 10, who literally terrorized California. This guy was accused of setting more than 2,000 arson fires. And you guessed it, he was a firefighter. You're going to hear today about this idea of the firefighter arsonist. It's something that I've been talking about for a long time. And you can understand what this means when somebody creates a problem that they then can come in on the white horse as the savior of the day and fix the problem, right? They caused it, they fix it in some weird way. This gives them some satisfaction, some power, whatever it is that drives them. But this one individual I want to tell you about, his name was John Leonard Orr. He was born April 26, 1949, presently 77 years old. He's an American convicted serial arsonist, mass murderer, and a former firefighter. He was a fire captain. He was an arson investigator in Glendale, California, not far from where I grew up. He was convicted of serial arson, 4 counts of murder, and is believed to have set 2,000 fires in what seemed to be a 30-year arson spree. That's how long this guy was destroying property, driving people crazy, murdering people. Most of the fires between 1984 and 1991, making him the most prolific serial arsonist in U.S. history. I want to tell you a little bit about his story, okay? During his arson spree, this guy Orr had several nicknames. The Pillow Pyro, due to his location of the fires inside retail stores. Like he literally would go into department stores and set a fire, like in the white section, the bedding section of Macy's, right? He was also called the Frito Bandito due to starting some of his fires using potato chips, and also called the coin tosser for incorporating coins into his incendiary devices. His modus operandi was to set fires using a timed device, usually secured by a rubber band. It's usually a lit cigarette with 3 matches wrapped in yellow ruled writing paper, secured by a rubber band. And he would set these fires in stores while they were open and populated. He would also set small fires in the grassy hills in order to distract firefighters, leaving fires set in more congested areas unattended. And he would sometimes be part of the firefighting crew that investigated the fires. He was born in Glendale, grew up with parents, pretty run of the mill background, parents divorced. As a young child, though, there was a fire in his neighborhood, and he was enthralled by the Los Angeles Fire Department as they extinguished it. He went to high school, joined the Air Force at the age of 17. He was discharged from the military back in 1971, and he tried to get on board the LA Police Department, but he failed the psychological exam. And the Los Angeles Fire Department found him physically unfit. So here's a guy frustrated who wants to do something where he can be a hero. And they're like, yeah, dude, you're not the guy. So he decided to study fire science while working day jobs. And in 1974, he secured employment with the Glendale Fire Department, one of the lowest paying departments in LA County. He rose through the ranks as an arson investigator, attaining the rank of captain. On October 10th, 1984, in South Pasadena, California, major fire broke out at an Olay's Home Center hardware store. The store was completely destroyed by fire. 4 people were killed. A 2-year-old boy, his 50-year-old grandmother, a 26-year-old mother of 2, and a 17-year-old employee. The following day, fire investigators from around Southern California converged on the destroyed store and they considered it to be an electrical fire. However, insisted that the cause was arson. Of course, he was correct because he was the guy who set the fire. It has since been speculated that Orr wanted his work to be recognized. Investigations show that the fire was deliberately started in highly flammable polyurethane products, which caught fire very quickly, causing the fire to flash over. So then came the investigation. January of 1987, a convention for fire investigators from California was held in the city of Fresno. During and after the convention, several suspicious fires were set in Bakersfield. This combined with the recovery of a single unmatched fingerprint left on a piece of notebook paper as part of a time delay incendiary device led the captain of the Bakersfield Fire Department, a guy named Marvin Casey, to suspect that a fire investigator from the Los Angeles metropolitan area was responsible for the arsons. 2 years later, another series of arsons were committed along the California coast in close conjunction with the Conference of Fire Investigators in Pacific Grove. By comparing the list of attendees from the Fresno conference with the list of attendees at the Pacific Grove conference, this fire captain Casey was able to create a short list of 10 suspects, or was on that short list. But everybody on it was cleared of suspicion when their fingerprints were compared with the fingerprint Casey had recovered from the piece of notebook paper found at that one arson scene, and Orr's fingerprint did not match. In late 1990, another series of arson fires broke out in Southern California, this time in and around the Los Angeles area. As a result, a large task force, nicknamed the Pillow Pyro Task Force, was formed to apprehend the arsonist. On March 29th, 1991, Tom Campuzano of the Los Angeles Arson Task Force circulated a flyer at a meeting of the Fire Investigators Regional Strike Team, an organization formed by a group of smaller cities in and around Los Angeles County that didn't have their own staff of arson investigators. The flyer described the modus operandi of the suspected serial arsonists in the Los Angeles area. A gentleman named Scott Baker of the California State Fire Marshal's Office was at that meeting and told Campuzano about the series of arsons investigated earlier by the fire marshal Casey and about suspicions that the perpetrator was a fire investigator from the Los Angeles area. Consequently, Campuzano and 2 of his colleagues obtained a copy of the fingerprint that Casey had recovered. And this time, thanks to new DNA technology, was able to match it to Orr. Orr was then investigated. He was watched for several months. Authorities hid a tracking device in his personal vehicle. While leaving a May 1991 fire conference in San Luis Obispo, Orr discovered that tracking device. He was completely panicked, drove to a nearby police explosive range thinking it was a bomb, right? He was never aware, though, there was a second tracking device installed in his city vehicle. His actions continued to be watched, and after Orr was found to be present at another suspicious fire, a federal grand jury handed down an indictment. He was arrested December of 1991, and he was charged with arson for a series of fires not related back to that 1984 South Pasadena Olays fire. Well, they went back into the fire records and began a forensic reevaluation. They found a detailed description of a similar fire in a novel written by Orr, the firefighter arsonist, entitled Points of Origin, Playing with Fire. Basically, in his book, the firefighter arsonist Orr detailed everything that he had done in his past. And they were able to go back and find all of these arsons and land him with a life sentence in prison. Yes, where he is today in a small town in California, 2,000 fires set. One brazen act of arrogance, writing a book. 2,000 fires, ladies and gentlemen. He is the most prolific of firebugs, a man with access, with knowledge, someone who suspected nobody would catch on to. And yet, he was. The same thing is happening, ladies and gentlemen, with other firefighter arsonist stories in the news today. While not maybe as prolific yet, as we know that this Orr fellow was, these people have been running around, lighting kindling on fire, running away from it, and then alerting everybody to its smoke and flames and coming in under the guise of saving the day. Well, much like our serial arsonist, John Leonard Orr, these individuals are going to come to justice. I do believe that fact. As you listen to the stories unfold today, imagine who's out there with the lit cigarette, the matches wrapped around it with a rubber band, who's lighting these fires in places, keeping you and me busy. All over. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about the arson in Virginia, right? This measure for gerrymandering beyond gerrymandering passes by the skin of its chinny chin chin. Or did it? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So this guy, right? Think about that. 30 years. 30 freaking years. You're causing all this chaos. You've killed multiple people. You've caused hundreds of millions of dollars of damage. And yet you feel untouchable so that you would write a book about a fictitious character who has done all of the same things that you have done using the same tools. Oops. Oops, John Leonard Orr. You're going to hear that. It's Tony Fauci, you guys. I'm going to create a virus. We're going to tinker with it in China. We're going to make it lethal as possible. We're going to kill people with it. But then we're going to come in and we're going to find you the antidote, which really isn't the antidote. It's worse than the original virus. But we're going to sell it to you as this is the dousing of the flames. This is everywhere in our news today. And that is why I wanted to share with you that story. I remember this guy. I remember not his name because we didn't know who he was back then. But I remember fires were common and they never were solved. Until one day. Hey, let me tell you quickly about Tulip Blooms. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. In fact, I think Brock saved something. I don't know if how about Beth? I just ordered Tulip Blooms massage oil for my mother's birthday and Mother's Day. I cannot wait till it gets here. I bought one for me too. Yes. Mother's Day gift boxes, my favorite things. Choose 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you want. Get an increased discount depending on the number of items that you get. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Look, game changer. Game changer. You're going to love it. Hands, feet, elbows, belly, all over your body. It is luxurious and your mom deserves it. So do you. Why not get her a box of skincare products that she would never buy for herself and maybe buy one for yourself too? tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. My favorite things are there, so you choose. See what you like, and then get back to me, wendybellradio@gmail.com.
Doc Wombat gave $20. Today is my daughter's birthday. She's my angel and likely the best thing that's ever happened to me. Daddy loves you, Madeline. Happy birthday, Madeline.
That's awesome. Happy birthday, and thank you. I don't know. I found the whole analysis of just people desperate for attention. It's a big deal. Or desperate to knock narcissistic, craven desperation for attention or what have you. The idea of the firefighter arsonist is very prevalent today. A lot of people saying that there's a lot of smoke, a lot of fire. They've set the flames in motion. And then they expect to come around on the backside and be heralded the hero for dousing the flames. Well, we can look at what happened yesterday in Virginia. So they had this whole redistricting question, right? Do you agree that it's fair, right? The wording of this question in Virginia, asking people, do you want the redistricting of the Commonwealth to be done just for the next 4 years and we'll completely rig it so it's 10-1 Democrat representative versus Republican? Do you want us to do that, or do you like it the way it currently is? Very confusing question. Well, when we look at the answers, the way people responded to this question, votes cast in person in the Commonwealth of Virginia during early voting, 1.6%, the yes vote won. Yes, we want this redistricting. We want the Democrats to control all of the state. We want to pick up 4 seats in the House of Representatives. Yes votes won by 1.6%. Votes cast in person yesterday on election day, voters voted no by 9%. And then the votes that came in by mail voted yes on the redistricting to give the Democrats the huge advantage. The yes votes won by 45%. How do you vote in person and get a 9% no victory? How do you vote early in person and get a 1.6%? Yeah, we like that. And then all of a sudden get 45% that come in voting by mail. You guys, if there's an example that's better than this of why mail in anything is dubious as at best, it's this case. CNN commentator Shermichael Singleton, he's on a panel yesterday with Scott Jennings, and they're talking about what ended up happening. Virginia approves heavily gerrymandered congressional map, and it's by about 3%, right? But the majority of the victory comes from those mail-in ballots you and I are supposed to believe are safe. Listen to Shermichael Singleton. He's like, look, I'm a conservative. I want my side to win, but this isn't the way we go about it. What's going on in our country? This isn't survivable. Listen.
This is not good for the country. Like, I'm a conservative. Hell yes, I want my side to do well. I strongly believe in my principles, and I presume Near here cares a lot about her side, and she wants to see Democrats do well. But how in the hell is this good for democracy? when both sides believe there is no interest in incentivizing on anything. We don't have to compromise. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to work things out, because you know what? We'll have one red state, one blue state. There will be no purple states. There will be no party in the middle. How does that move things forward when you look at the things that this country is currently struggling with on the economic front, the education front, healthcare? You have China, our greatest adversary, that are moving leaps and bounds ahead, and we can't even govern ourselves appropriately. This should make any person in this country happy about where we are.
So Texas did it, they said. Virginia punched back. That's what you get. Good for the goose, good for the gander, bad for America. Scott Jennings agrees. He's like, look, Virginia's redistricting was based on lies, and now they have the most unfair, lopsided map in America.
Virginia literally had the fairest maps in the nation. They had a 6-5 map, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. In terms of proportional representation, they had the fairest map in the nation that was drawn, by the way, by an independent commission that the voters asked for just a few years ago. Now they will have the least fair maps in the nation. And I'm not surprised that the yes vote won. They had all the money and all the lies. And sometimes in politics, when you got those two things, you can put something over the line. Even something as egregious as this whole thing has driven Spamberger's approval ratings down into the toilet. She lied to the people of Virginia. They had to write a ballot question that was a joke. They drew maps that were a joke. Now you're going to have huge chunks of rural Virginia represented by 5 or 6 Democrats who all live in northern Virginia within about 15 miles of each other. It's a complete joke. Everybody knows it. And there's a reason that all these national Democrats and all their money came into Virginia, because, they don't really care about the people of Virginia. They just care about power.
They just care about power. Now, Brock, you had made mention that, what was it? How much did the Democrats spend on this measure?
I heard it was about $90 billion or $90 million.
$90 million from a Democrat National Committee that does not have money, that had to take a loan. They had to get a loan to get through the 2024 stuff, ladies and gentlemen. $15 million. Kamala Blue, $1.4 billion. They are scrapping. They are scrambling. And now there's questions. Is this election to redistrict Virginia in such a wholly lopsided way, is it going to pass muster in the courts? While all of this is going on, what do you have happening in Virginia? A lot of crime, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be talking about that. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about the latest in Iran, what the president is looking at doing now, as apparently the rebels there aren't giving up. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program. What do you think Russia collusion was? Russia collusion was the firefighter arsonist. We're going to create a story. We're going to create, get some kindling. We're going to get our Zippo. We're going to throw some gas on it. And then we're going to come around on the other side and be like, oh, we need to investigate this. This is terrible. This is a threat to democracy. He's a Russian asset. All of this, of course, with the explicit goal to stay in power, to destroy a duly elected president, his first term, and his reputation. That was it. That was it. So many examples of it today. I am extraordinarily excited because my friend Diane is meeting me here at the station after work today. She has a story to tell me about a woman who heard her story about having essential tremor. It was debilitating. It restricted what our friend Diane was able to do. And then kind of rolling the dice, going to see Dr. Simkovich at the Simkovich Concussion Institute. And he was straight with Diane. He's like, look, I don't normally treat people with essential tremor, but why don't we see what we can do? And so Diane went 4 days in a row and has gone back for maintenance multiple times and maintains that she is 75 to 80% better than when she started. So a woman went after hearing Diane's story and had a similar experience. And I can't wait because Di's going to tell me all about it today. And I'm going to share it with you tomorrow. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366-3700. Life-saving stuff, life-changing stuff. Concussions, brain injuries, migraine headaches, tremors. You'd be surprised what Dr. Simkovich can fix with his hands. No blood, no needles, no pain, no surgery. Just healing. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. 412-366-3700. $90 million. $90 million to flood the airwaves with ads and try to convince people. But it's also happening in the schools, and that's going to connect to the very end of our program today. It's quite wild to see teachers encouraging students to go home and like browbeat their parents to vote yes for this redistricting. So you go from a Commonwealth, it's 40% Republican, and you have representation that is 6 Democrat to 5 Republicans, which seems fair. And then you just go from 6 to 5 to 10 to 1. And essentially what you have are conservatives in Virginia now who just, you're not being represented. Sucks to be you. What?
I think that they forced the Democrats to spend so much money. And I also think that I read, and you know, if it's true or not, who really knows? Because I didn't do a dive on it, but the majority of the money for all this came from out of state.
What?
And I'm sorry, if this is a local, just a Virginia issue, you should not be allowed to get money from PACs from out of state. You know, it's just, let the people in Virginia decide. I think it's going to get challenged in the courts.
Hey, can I talk about Smile? I used it today. I don't know if you guys can tell. It lightly whitens your teeth. This product from the wellness company called Smile. Instead of using fluoride, like fluoride now is connected to higher rates of autism and to lower IQ scores and things of that nature. So the wellness company was like, look, we got to get fluoride out of our toolkit and let's put in peptides instead. And what it does is it helps with gum recession. It's not just cosmetic. Millions of people, I have it, deal with bleeding gums, not bleeding, but tooth sensitivity and even tooth loss. And once gums start pulling back, really most toothpastes do absolutely nothing to help. This is where Smile comes into play, the wellness company's next generation toothpaste designed to support gum repair, strengthen your teeth, reduce sensitivity, and gently whiten your smile. Smile is powered by healing peptides like BPC 157. I don't know what that is, but it's known for helping reduce inflammation and supporting the repair of gum and bone tissue. I mean, like, is your toothpaste rebuilding your teeth and your gums? No. The formula uses advanced AquaSum technology. It's a shield that protects these peptides and delivers them directly into damaged gum tissue. It also contains all this other peptide stuff I'm supposed to talk about to support collagen and healthier gum structure. Okay, so that's what the basis of Smile is. This is what it does. It's beautiful, and I love it. It's very clean, and it helps with sensitivity. Bingo, twc.health/Wendy, promo code Wendy. You're going to get 10% off and free shipping in America. You're welcome. twc.health/Wendy. It's called Smile. All right. You okay in there?
Yeah.
You just went. I was like, oh, heavy lifting today?
Huh.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Oh, my goodness. So there's stuff going on in Iran. You've got the president in a very interesting position, don't you think? I think it would be very difficult to be President Trump because no matter what you do, everybody's going to blame you. If it's good, they're going to say it's bad. If it's bad, they're going to say it's worse than bad. And the president realizes he's got a war going on inside Iran, irrespective of what America and Israel are doing. And it's a power struggle. You've got the majority of the structure of the Ayatollah and his goons. They've been all but destroyed, but there's some people hanging on. You got some revolutionary people who are in there who want to break free from that, but they want to seize control, perhaps members of the IRGC in some capacity, right? And then you've got the people of Iran. I'm sure that there's an actual feeling of leadership among the people who have been basically living under this terrorist regime for so long. And so the president has to be aware of this before he decides that he's going to neutralize bridges and infrastructure and maybe even blow up Karga Island, I don't know, which is pivotal to their oil production facilities. And he's got to be cognizant of this. Who's he dealing with? Which one of those individuals is he supposed to be dealing with? And in so doing, thousands of miles away. Well, he issued a fresh Strait of Hormuz threat, and it seems like the stragglers aren't listening. We've got multiple ships that have been fired upon by whomever these goons are in Iran, and they've been seized. And now the president finds himself in a very interesting position because he's like, look, we've been told that there is a lot of upheaval, people jockeying for some kind of a position of leadership in the country. We want to approve of the new leadership, but it's got to come from the Iranian people. We're not going to put somebody in there. So he's on this weird tight wire. Want to blow him up because I'm not interested in being fiddled with, but I also don't want to blow anything up if there's the possibility that something good can happen out of this. And this is where the president is. He had rejected calls to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, basically saying that America is going to remain in charge of it. He's warning that there would never be a deal with Iran unless we blow up the rest of their country, and their leaders included. He's pissed. The commander-in-chief said Iran only proclaims it's closed the waterway to save face, as he's issued this fiery threat, did it yesterday, last night, just hours after announcing that the ceasefire had been extended. How far is he going to extend it? I don't know. I'm not sure, and I'm not so sure he knows, but I want you to hear Jesse Waters had a very interesting gentleman on. His name is Jim Hansen, and he's a former Green Beret. Iran now is dealing with propaganda, of course, as it always has, but that's all it has. There are stragglers left behind, but in no way is Iran going to come out of this victorious in any way. Whomever is in charge there realizes that they're going to lose this game with the Strait of Hormuz. This is Green Beret Jim Hansen. Listen.
I think they are scrambling. And anybody who says this fracture between the religious leadership and the military and their civilian political leadership is a bad thing doesn't understand how to break a tyrannical regime. Of course, we want them arguing with each other. And obviously, I think the military will come out on top. As you said, they do have the guns. But in the end, they don't have much in the way of weapons left. And anytime they poke any of those weapons out of their holes, we destroy them. So they've got a very short window before they run out of money. They run out of the ability to pump oil. They already can't sell it. And there's not any money coming in to run the regime. Anybody who thinks they're ahead in this game is not paying attention.
So is it more of a negotiating tactic, or is it them trying to consolidate power as they lead negotiations going forward?
They want the world and anybody else to think that they are ahead. That's why you hear them say things. Oh, 26 ships broke the blockade. Well, no, 26 ships got turned back, and the 27th got a free engine room redecoration courtesy of a USS Destroyer's 5-inch gun, free ventilation. That's not how you win. Next, we take a tanker, and now we've got 2 million barrels of free oil. They don't have any way to come out ahead in the blockade game. They're wrong if they can think they can wait President Trump out. And if he has to start breaking some more of their stuff to emphasize the point, we have plenty of ways to do that. They have nothing but maybe an opportunity to attack a ship trying to transit the strait.
So the propaganda is working overtime, and Democrats are picking up those headlines and running with them. And President Trump is upset. And he specifically on CNBC has said, and said yesterday, calling Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries treasonous traitors. That is not a light thing to throw around. To say that the leaders of the Democrat Party in both the House and the Senate are actively cheering for America to lose. This is where we are. What is it about the Democrat Party that is so desperate for America to lose? Is it for America to lose, or is it for Trump to lose so they can continue doing what they've been doing and not be caught, not be prosecuted, not have things change? I want you to hear what he said to CNBC. It's wild. Listen.
We can't let traitors like Schumer put pressure on you where they say, we want out. Think how bad that is. I'm negotiating with these people, and they're telling us, we have to get out now, we have to get out now, we have to get now. And they were in a war for 18 years. They were in a war for, think of that, Vietnam, 19 years, Iraq, 8 years. So right. I want to make a good deal. I'm not going to be rushed. I have all the time in the world. I want to make not a good deal. I want to make a great deal. I don't want to do this, go through this. And, you know, if you look at this, what we've suffered in terms of losses, we lost 13 men, and that's terrible. I wish we didn't lose one. But if somebody would have said, we've done this and obliterated that country, obliterated it, and we lost 13 men, people would have said, that's not possible to have done that. It's not possible. Right. So we've done a great job, and I don't want to be rushed by people that are really treasonous as far as I'm concerned, and it's just, I watch this low IQ guy, Hakeem Jeffries. He's a totally low IQ person, and he's always ranting and raving, oh, this war is so terrible, terrible. They shouldn't be saying that when we're in the midst of a negotiation, because it does hurt us somewhat. It gives the other side some hope, and I don't want them to have hope.
It gives the other side hope. I don't want them to have hope. I don't want Iran to have hope that they're going to crawl out from under this hellscape and recreate their nuclear weapons program. No. Or have hope that they're going to continue their mission to terrorize the planet. No, there is no hope. Democrats want there to be. Why? So in an unusual move, I think this is sort of an olive branch. This president may be buying a little bit of time, says to whomever's in charge in Iran, hey, look, we will push pause on your complete civilization destruction, but we need something from you. And how about you release these 8 Iranian women who are reportedly set to be hanged in a show of goodwill ahead of these peace negotiations? What? You mean your liberal media, all of the Me Too women with the vagina hats who are out there banging down the doors of the Supreme Court over Brett Kavanaugh and garbage made up stuff, the way they made up stuff against Clarence Thomas? Where are all these women? Where are all the women? Because you'd think they'd be fighting for this too alongside this president. New York Post. President Trump publicly implored Iran to release 8 women who the regime is allegedly set to execute as a means of building goodwill with the United States. That sentence is written backwards. President Trump is saying, hey, don't kill these women and we won't kill you. That's pretty much how it is. The president urged the Islamic Republic to spare the detainees, including a 16-year-old and a doctor who were arrested with others following the nationwide protests against the government earlier this year. To the Iranian leaders, Trump posted on Truth Social, who will soon be in negotiations with my representatives, I would greatly appreciate the release of these women. I am sure that they will respect the fact that you did so. Please do them no harm would be a great start to our negotiations. Trump's post was in direct reference to a post on X from an American activist named Eyal Yacobi, which claims that Iran is claiming to hang 8 women, including those who protested against the regime. While the post did not identify the women, it did include pictures of them. including one of Bida Hemati, a protester arrested during the anti-regime demonstration in January. The regime accused her of multiple crimes, including using explosives and weapons, throwing objects such as concrete blocks, participating in protest gatherings, and disrupting national security. This is according to the opposition National Council of Resistance of Iran. These 8 women set to be hanged in public for fighting their government, for voicing their concerns, for exercising what we flippantly throw around as our First Amendment right. In Iran, it gets you hanged, especially if you're a woman. Why would President Trump care more than it seems anybody in Iran does, or more than your Democratic Party cares? Shouldn't they be on board with this humanitarian olive branch? Do us a solid. Prove to us that these women are safe, and we will come to the negotiating table less inclined to blow you up when you're not looking. No promises, but it's a good beginning. I wonder if the Pope would like to weigh in on this. He's liked to weigh in a lot of things. Maybe he'd like to weigh in on this, because I'm sure he should have some message to Iran about these women and their scheduled execution, which I believe is set for today or tomorrow. Here's what I see happening with this president. He has shown us that he is the master of the unexpected. His strike on Iran, the original one that killed the Ayatollah, was considered a surprise, right? Because it broke several patterns and expectations that the U.S. and international community had built up over the preceding months. He'd been warning for months that he might strike, but then he did it in broad daylight on a Monday, the beginning of a work week, as all of these people, feeling very secure, decided to gather for some breakfast meeting, and then all of a sudden, master of the unexpected. That is President Trump. Who knows what he's going to do? But I feel we're going to find out here in the next, 24 hours? Shall we? How about we save some women? Can we unite around that? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. It's a masterclass example of how to dismantle the fake news. When they come at you with a garbage question that's been manufactured in a wrap-up smear attempt, Kash Patel with the absolute bomb dropped on an NBC reporter. Ooh, this one's going to leave a mark. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program. So I don't know what he's going to do, but isn't it interesting that the dictator, the king, the tyrant, the Nazi, the fascist, the ruler is like, hey, how about these 8 women? We'd like them not to die. Really? Really? It's curious. Anywho, let me tell you about Ghost Bed. My relationship with the Ghost Bed has been nothing but easy. How about that? Easy. You know, when you're doing something and it's as important as choosing the mattress that you're going to lie on probably for the next 10 years, right? You're going to make a decision that impacts basically 8 hours of your life for the rest of your days for the next 10 years until it's time to get a new one, right? How about dealing with a company that makes it so easy, that makes it so affordable, that makes getting it to you and even having somebody set it up for you in your house like that? That's what Ghost Bed's all about. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. Beyond that, you're going to experience a comfort, a almost therapeutic sleep where you're like, I went places I didn't know existed because you zonk. That's why this mattress system is created, not just as a sleeping platform, but kind of as healthcare for you. And the gentleman behind it, as I've told you, has had multiple surgeries on his back and neck, and he invented this line of mattresses because there were none out there for him that helped him. This is his gift to you, Ghost Bed. And you get 101 nights to sleep on it. Try it. See if you're not tossing and turning. See how you feel. Keeps you cool so you're not sweating bombs at night. And it's just lovely. Many different kinds to choose from. They also have Ghost Bed mattresses for campers, RVs. I think, did I even see that even have dog beds? I'd have to see. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. I think they're great. And it's made in America. So love that.
They have dog beds?
I think,
and Murphy doesn't have one?
I think they do. I need to check. I need to, you know what?
I'm going to check right now.
Okay, yeah, let's see, because I might have just given you fake news. I thought I saw that. And I will absolutely clarify that if I'm wrong. I think the Ghost Bed mattress we got a hybrid, full-size hybrid. It's firm, and it has a pillow top on it that is just the right amount of give. So you sort of melt a little bit into it, but it never loses its shape. It's just a great night's sleep. It's a great night's sleep. I haven't tried their pillows. Ghostbed should probably send me some. P.O. Box 86033. Does Ghost Bed make dog beds? Yes. Ghost Bed offers a Ghost Bed donut cloud bed for dogs, which is marketed as waterproof, orthopedic, and it's actually sold in larger sizes too, designed to provide the same comfort features as their mattresses, including pressure relief.
And Murphy doesn't have one?
For dogs.
Poor dog.
Murphy.
Poor Murphy.
Oh my gosh. And there's pictures of a dog that's totally zonked out. It's awesome. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. They're going to give you an extra 10% off with my name. How about that? I left the best part for last. And they already have everything marked down. It's their spring sale. So, promo code Wendy. You're welcome.
Poor dog is so neglected.
Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Okay, so The Atlantic, this hack publication that I told you I have to buy to be a part of. I pay a subscription so I can read their nonsense, so you don't have to. They put out this story, and it's kind of like a Chinese spy balloon, right? What's that up in the sky? This is what it did. It floated across the country, and the story is about Kash Patel, FBI director, being a raging drunk. He's drunk on the job. He's not showing up. He's erratic. He's paranoid. Oh, my gosh. It's sort of like how they tried to hit down on John Fetterman, right? He's a threat to himself. The minute he started not voting the way they wanted, they were like, oh, no, how can we sink this guy? This is what's going on with Kash Patel. He's in the crosshairs of a takedown campaign that's so freaking obvious, which confirms to us the brother is over the mark, right? So you've got something coming out. We're going to talk about this 11-count indictment against the Southern Poverty Law Center, our greatest example of the firefighter arsonist today. And we're going to talk about that coming up in hour number 2. But I want you to hear an NBC reporter try to merchandise this article, which was all based on anonymous sources, people familiar with the situation, no attribution, nobody goes on the record. It's just wild rumor mongering garbage, the lowest standards for journalism ever. And this NBC reporter decides they're in this press conference, they're going to ask Kash Patel about it, okay? And now he's got a couple options. He can respond to that and answer the reporter's questions, or he can refuse the premise of the wrap-up smear and blow it up in the reporter's face. Which do you think he does? Let's listen in.
Do you want to give you an opportunity to respond directly to the allegations in the Atlantic article that your unexplained absences created a national security risk? And beyond that, can you say definitively that you have not been intoxicated or absent during your tenure as FBI director?
I can say unequivocally that I never listen to the fake news mafia. And as when they get louder, it just means I'm doing my job. This FBI director has been on the job twice as many days as every director before me. What that means is I've taken half as many days off as those before me. What that means is I've taken a third less vacation than those before me. What that means is that this FBI with this Department of Justice has dropped the murder rate 20 points. What that means is this FBI, with this Department of Justice, has captured 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world, twice as many as the Biden administration did in its entire 4 years. What that means is this FBI has seized enough fentanyl off the streets to kill 178 million Americans, a 31% increase. What that means is this FBI and this DOJ has arrested 43% more spies in 14 months than the entirety of the Biden administration. What that means is this FBI has seen a reduction in opiate overdose deaths up to 20% alone. What that means is that we have found 6,300 child victims, 6,300 families have their kids back. That is a 22% increase from the Biden administration. I'm on the job. I'm the first one in. I'm the last one out. I'm like an everyday American who loves his country, loves the sport of hockey, and champions my friends when they raise a gold medal and invite me in to celebrate. I've never been intoxicated on the job, and that is why we filed a $250 million defamation lawsuit. And any one of you that wants to participate, bring it on. I'll see you in court.
Oh my gosh. So where did they get this story? Remember when Kash Patel was back with the USA men's hockey team after beating Canada in the Olympics? And they're out in the locker room, they're going bananas and there's champagne and beer flying everywhere. That gold, the deep state. How dare you celebrate America? How dare you celebrate a gold medal? How dare you be joyful? And so knives came out in the apparatus. He's a drunk. Yeah, he said no. Never happened. I want you to hear this fake news article about what you just heard, though. This is from thehill.com. This is the headline. Patel gets in shouting match with reporter as he defends job performance. Did you guys hear a shouting match? I heard a director of the FBI who was able to pretty much blindfolded and with little preparation rattle off 2 minutes of what he has been doing to make America great again. Right? And the article at The Hill says FBI Director Kash Patel got into a shouting match with the reporter amid questions over his job performance following an explosive article from The Atlantic alleging excessive alcohol use by the director. I didn't hear any shouting match. I heard the dismantling fake news. And it was masterclass TKO, mother of all bombs. And it's exactly how you have to handle these people, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program, we're going to take a different direction here, guys. Have you ever heard of the Southern Poverty Law Center? Well, you're about to get a quick class in who they are as our #1 firefighter arsonist today. And oopsies, they just got slapped with a pretty big fat indictment. We'll tell you why next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I just love how he did that. I didn't feel there was anything except a man rigorously defending what he does and being able to very quickly tell you the bullet points of success of the FBI under his leadership. And
there was
all of the left-leaning publications were like, it was this take. And I'm like, no, you guys are trying to do something. He refuses to accept the predicate. And then he takes the story and pushes what he wants you to know, which is what he's been doing. As you've been saying, he's been absent on the job and hammered. Okay.
There was another clip where this one reporter kept yelling at him. And he was like, are you going to let me answer? Are you going to let me? That's categorically false. Todd Blanche ends up stepping up going, dude, you're being completely rude. And he cuts Todd Blanche off. He's like, my point exactly. Now you're cutting me off. Mm-hmm. Like, how about a little respect?
Yeah. Now, there's going to be none of that in the media, in this resistance of whatever this president does. It's really unfortunate. And it's gotten to that point where if President Trump did find a cure for cancer that would impact everybody, save everybody could get behind this, they would be angry. There'd be anger about that. Or, you know, we're going to make water abundant for everybody. You'll never run out. Food will never run out.
waiting for him to say air is bad for you.
Yeah.
And watch all the liberals hold their breath.
It's that ridiculous. It's that ridiculous. Disinfectwithsniper.com. I, aside from the personal supplementation that I do here that I talk to you guys about, the one product that I use every single day, probably 3 or 4 times a day, is my Sniper. And it's just simple. It's how can you get the greatest hospital grade antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal spray? How do you get it into your hands, and how is it not toxic? It's not. There's not, like, you're not going to wipe people out with chlorine and chemicals. This is a non-toxic, safe for children, safe for animals way to disinfect your house. I spray it on the shower floor because it prevents athlete's foot. I spray it on everything my kids touch because there's a lot of us and we all have germs, and you don't even have to wipe it off. You can just spray it and let it dry, and it's not going to ruin any of your materials. It's not going to damage your furniture. It's just going to get things healthy again. Simple as I can say it. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Yay. I love it. Hospitals, cleaning toys, nurseries, pet areas, kitchens, bathrooms. I know veterinarians' clinics use it. They use it in some zoos because it's some funkalicious what have you in those places. Like the freaking monkey house. You're like, oh, my hair loses its curl there. It's crazy. All right, let's see how you guys are doing. What's going on? Do we have 2,000? Not even close. This is your opportunity to help me get 340 people in the next 3 minutes. I have great faith in you. I know you can do it. To click the cute little thumbs up button underneath. If we could get 2,000 in the first hour, that's the secret sauce, I think. That's what helps. And so thank you so very much. Right underneath the video box, a couple things for you to click if you're wishing to weigh in on what you think of us, me, what have you. You can click the thumbs up button. That's called your Rumble button, and that's like a Facebook like or a follow. But the follow button right next to it, that's the one we like too, because we're on our march to 100,000 followers on this page.
We get a trophy apparently.
Do we?
Once we hit 100,000.
He was pulling your leg, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
See, the great thing is we don't get much help from Rumble. So they push some people in their big boxes that they, you know, when you run to Rumble, it's what comes up first. You see it. We don't get that commonly. So I think that we are extraordinarily grassroots. And that is why I say you are part of my family. I do feel that way about you guys. And I share enough about you, know enough. Right? Probably like that. Thank goodness you didn't cry about our stupid kids today. I was close. Me.
Oh.
All right. Nice job. Now we just need 220 people. Thank you for that. That's huge. So if in the next 2 minutes we can get another 220 people, that's perfect. Thank you. That's perfect. So I've got what?
Thank God you didn't cry about our kids. I almost did.
I can't help it. Can't help it. Wear it on my sleeve. I'm a really, really bad poker face.
Really bad.
Really bad. So I hope you guys got what I said. Like, people who voted in person by 9% voted against the new drawing of the districts in Virginia. People who voted by mail, overwhelmingly 45% voted for the redistricting. Does that seem weird to you? Doesn't that seem weird to you? It's kind of, what did you just do?
Nothing.
Let's see what it looks like. Oh, what are you doing in there?
Praying.
No.
That you don't start crying.
What are you doing in there?
Nothing.
Oh, it looks like tulip blooms. Uh-oh.
What'd you do?
I don't know how to get off of this. Shoot.
Off of what?
Something popped up on my, okay.
Don't scare me like that. You start pushing buttons. And it's just.
Now we need 160. Look at you. We have 1 minute. This could be the fastest 3,500 or 350 people we've ever had. Let's go.
Hurry up before Wendy pushes the wrong button and we're not here anymore.
And I start to cry. And it'll be authentic. You'll see it. Come on. You can do it. That didn't move the needle much. I only got 10 people out of that. I appreciate you guys. Love you. Thank you. All I can hear is him rubbing his hands together.
I'll stop.
I have a
Don't
hard
worry
time
about my
with
dry
that.
hands. They push it on.
Oh my gosh.
You guys have no idea.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
If you don't use your newfound power, it simply evaporates. It degrades. What's the point? It doesn't grow because nobody becomes afraid of you because you're not using your power. The Democrats invested in Obamacare to the expense of losing the presidency in the House and the Senate. Their return on this is the creation of the belief in the minds of the public that only the government can run things in exchange for this huge leap forward in their agenda. The Republicans simply don't do anything like this. The Republicans, whether they win or lose, are not trying to advance it. That's why Trump was the nominee, and that's why Trump is elected president. The Republican Party used to be the opposition to the Democrats, and it used to be the small government, small taxes, individual liberty party. That's what it was known for. Even before you began talking about conservatism, that's what the party was known for. It's been a long time.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live and on the clock. WendyBellRadio.com. Okay, so we're talking about this idea of the firefighter arsonist. You know what George Floyd was? George Floyd and all of the nonsense that happened across our country after that. It wasn't about racism. It was about an opportunity to start a fire. George Floyd was the ultimate kindling for anybody who wanted to push the story and ignite the dumpster fire that we are just such a horribly racist, discriminatory people. We're so bad to each other, in fact. Look, here's a police officer kneeling on a black guy's neck. White cop, black dude on the ground. I can't breathe. He's a murderer. White people hate black people. That's a problem. And the rest of us were kind of looking around going like, wait a minute, what? Because I don't see things the same way that the folks who tried to foist that whole chapter of American history on us, who allowed looting, who allowed billions of dollars of property damage, who changed laws and created statues of a drug addict felon in George Floyd, right? This is the hero. Oh, it was ridiculous. And yet very in keeping with this whole theme. You got to create chaos. If what you're doing is bad, or you suck at whatever you're doing and you need to deflect, you got to find something to whip up some flames. And then, if you're lucky, you can come in as somebody who's going to solve the problem and extinguish the flames. Well, there's a great example of this today in the news. The DOJ charges far-left Southern Poverty Law Center with fraud, money laundering, and manufacturing racism to justify its existence. What's that? Manufacturing racism. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The DOJ announced that the far-left Southern Poverty Law Center was charged with fraud and money laundering involving violent extremist groups. In a press release from the Office of Public Affairs for the DOJ, it was revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center was charged by an Alabama grand jury with 11 counts of wire fraud, false statements to a federally insured bank, and conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering, according to the press release. An indictment says that starting in the 1980s, the SPLC began operating a covert network of individuals who were either associated with violent and extremist groups such as the KKK. Say what? According to the indictment, the Southern Poverty Law Center began operating this covert network of individuals who had infiltrated violent extremist groups at the Southern Poverty Law Center's direction. Unbeknownst to donors, some of their donated money was being used to fund the leaders and organizations of racist groups. At the same time, the Southern Poverty Law Center was denouncing the same groups on its website. So let's just take a step back, right? So you've got this group of people, this organization, it's considered a nonprofit, right? Give us money because we're going to fight racism. We're going to fight far-right extremism. We're going to tackle the issue. It's the scourge of our country. And with your donation, you're going to help us do that. And so I guess some people were like, okay, and gave them money. Well, instead of fighting anything, what they did is they paid extreme individuals, people known to do hateful things, KKK, neo-Nazis, and paid them to go out in society and create situations, i.e. fires, that then they could say, see, look at what's going on in Charlottesville. Because, oh yes, the Southern Poverty Law Center is connected to what happened in 2017 in Charlottesville. So let me read this to you. The Southern Poverty Law Center also allegedly funneled more than $3 million donated from individuals, right, to people associated with groups such as the National Socialist Movement, the United Klans of America, and the Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club between 2014 and 2023. They're manufacturing racism to justify their existence, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said in a statement. Using donor money to allegedly profit off of Klansmen cannot go unchecked. What? Yes, this is exactly what's been going on. I want you to hear as Todd Blanche, Acting Attorney General, says, look, this indictment is vast. It is stinging, and it's against a nonprofit that pays militant agitators to stoke racial hatred that was, yes, directly connected to that Charlottesville incident in 2017. Listen.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of one person and injured dozens more.
So, what do you think about the Southern Poverty Law Center funding that group of whack jobs, the Patriot Front? These are supposed to be a right-wing extremist group, right? They're supposed to be extreme MAGA. No, they're not. You guys, the greatest example of what Todd Blanche is just saying is January 6th. You want to talk about the greatest firefighter arsonist scheme ever? Let's bring a bunch of people to the Capitol. Then we'll take our people undercover, dressed as MAGA supporters, and we'll put them in the crowd. And we'll push on the people who are there, who are not causing problems. We're going to push. We're going to get everybody riled up. Maybe we'll start some fights. Maybe we'll shoot some rubber bullets at people. Maybe we'll fire some tear gas canisters at folks. Let's gin up the crowd so then we can come back on the other side and be like, oh my gosh, look at what those crazy animals did. Those MAGA extremists. They tried to overthrow the government. It's exactly what the left did. The Southern Poverty Law Center is one example. I'm going to tell you that we're doing something that we're not really doing. We're paying people who are ugly people to go out there and manufacture the illusion of racial tension. We're going to create a storyline that this country's got real scars and apparently they haven't been healed. When in reality, what you're doing is creating a fictitious story so that you can run on the coattails of it and say, we've got such a problem, you guys. Thank goodness for the Southern Poverty Law Center, because we're using your money to fight this sort of stuff. No, what you're really doing is using whomever donates to fund that kind of stuff. Is it wrong to say that I think the majority of America just wants peace? They don't need fake narratives. They don't need garbage propaganda. We don't need chase your tail storylines that don't ever add up. It's all a smokescreen. And thank goodness for this. Thank goodness for the DOJ. I want you to hear Jamie Raskin, because Jamie Raskin just 4 months ago was celebrating the Southern Poverty Law Center's fight against white supremacy. Oh, Jamie.
The Southern Poverty Law Center has been a vigilant voice in civil society against radical white nationalist violence and extremism, neo-Nazism, and other forces across the political spectrum that spread organized hate from any quarter. The president, however, wants to undermine civil society organizations and to reduce our ability to defend ourselves against the virus of racial violence.
Now, what the president wants to do, you suck, congressman from Maryland, he wants to expose you deep state actors who've done so much to try to make America terrible. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, disgraced congresswoman accused of stealing $5 million of our money finally slithers away, resigns from Congress. Wait for the apology. Oh, wait, that's right. It didn't come. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I just think it's so fast. I mean, think about it. Think about it. Think about how much of a wrap-up smear, how much of a firefighter arsonist narrative January 6th was. We're the ones who were chased out. We had to run out for safety. No, you guys created madness on purpose. You shook the jar of ants to create what? A smoke screen. So we'd all be talking about insurrection instead of stolen election. Too bad a lot of people caught on to that, though. Sucks to be them. Bloodflow7.com, you guys. Bloodflow7.com. This is my baby. This is my jam. This is my thing. I do it every day. How are you doing? Every day. About 6 in the morning. Unless it's a gym day, in which case I take it at 4 a.m. because I got to get it going in my system. Got to make sure I got it before I go. So what is bloodflow7.com/Wendy? Healthy blood flow and circulation. Improved for maximum absorption and extended duration. You're like, what does that do? What it does is it gets more blood going through your system. So more blood to your brain allows you to be more focused, think more sharply. You can tell the cobwebs lift. How about blood flow to the rest of your body, right? How about it getting through to your heart, to every aspect of your body, gives you more duration of exercise, more stamina. You have fewer yawns during the day. You don't hit that brick wall in the afternoon. You sleep like a boulder, and it's fantastic. This is the brother product of it for men, specifically for men. It's called Alpha Gold Male. Alpha Gold Male for men. I have my sons taking this. It's important. And why? It says complete formula for men of all ages. Well, you guys have different needs than women do, so you should have your own. Alpha Gold Male. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Seriously, if you're feeling like, you're just kind of winding down, you feel like you're getting old. You're like, gosh, I can't do what I used to do. Yeah, you can. You just need bloodflow7.com/Wendy. 30% off, literally less than $1 a day. Why not? Why not? You have everything to gain. Yes, Brock, and isn't it interesting that you picked up on the Patriot Front goons? Charlottesville.
I didn't see that on
neo-Nazis in Charlottesville. And then what did President Trump say as they selectively edited them? There are good people on both sides of that fight. And he says, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis. And they cut that part out. Okay. Jamie Raskin just exposes himself for being the louse that he is. Right? I see it. I know you guys do. Stocks are rallying after the president extends the Iran ceasefire. I don't know. I can see him doing something highly unpredictable. What would it be?
I just don't understand the Democrats. 1 minute they're saying, I can't believe you're going to blow up all these people. The next minute they're like, he's backing down. Like, make up your mind. Like,
finish the job,
yeah.
You taco. That's what they throw around. And they sing songs. It's so gay.
Yeah.
And that's of no offense to gay people. It's just gay. Let's just say that. It's just dippy and they know better. 2.05.
No, I don't think they do know better. I think you're giving them too much credit.
I don't know, Brock. I find it all very telltale here.
I don't know why they think singing me.
Filthy, rotten scoundrels. I don't know. I think it's been a while. It's been a while since we've been impressed by somebody here in Congress. This Sheila Phyllis McCormick broad. You know, if I hear one more person, a black person who's a bad person, blame their downfall on racism, please. Right? It's like a woman who's a terrible boss being replaced and claiming, right, gender discrimination. How about you just don't do stupid stuff and you don't steal from the American people? And then when you get caught, maybe you should apologize. Well, there's got to be serious criminal charges against this broad because this Democratic rep from Florida, Sheila Phyllis McCormick, what a piece of work. She resigned yesterday from Congress. Seems to be a thing going on lately. She resigned from Congress yesterday, stepping down hours before the House Ethics Committee was set to recommend a punishment for the 25 violations of campaign finance law and House rules that it found her guilty of last week or last month. The third-term Florida Democrat announced her resignation in a written statement, calling the ethics process a witch hunt. A witch hunt, and saying the committee had denied her new attorney's request for time to prepare a defense while a federal criminal case against her remains pending. Really? She says, I will not stand by and pretend that this has been anything other than a witch hunt. It's 25 charges, 25 counts. 25 reasons that the campaign finance law and House rules, well, that you violated all of that. Sheila, that's not called a witch hunt. It's called you got caught. You got busted and you have no remorse. $5 million of our money this broad spent. She stole and she spent on various things, including running her campaign for Congress. What would her defense of that be? Well, do you know how expensive it is to run a campaign for Congress? So that justifies you stealing from the American people. Well, apparently, this woman thinks it is. I will not stand by and pretend that this has not been anything other than a witch hunt. I hereby resign from the 119th Congress effective immediately. She's the victim. One of the hardest things to teach children, and it's a huge turnoff to me, is when somebody is incapable of accepting responsibility for what they do or say, or what they fail to do or say. I like somebody who can say, that was my mistake. I'm sorry. I knew better. I made the wrong choice, and I don't deserve to be here in this Congress. And I apologize. Now, certainly she's got a case coming up, and she's going to have to defend herself criminally. But what was she accused of doing? $5 million of FEMA money. $500 of money also related to COVID that she ended up siphoning off of a family business that she and siblings have. Some kind of, it sounds like it's literally equivalent to me of like the Somali welfare fraud, but whatever. She stole that money that was intended for other things and used it for herself, then got busted and then played the victim card. It's very off-putting, but we need to rid ourselves of these people. It makes me feel almost that I know that there are some pretty good fighters, conservative Republican fighters on Capitol Hill, but there aren't enough. Doesn't it feel like you just need to shake the Etch-a-Sketch and get back to a blank slate? But here's the rub. How do you ensure that the people that you would be electing to replace these folks, who are many of them corrupt as stones, how do you convince yourself or prove yourself that you don't get somebody worse? I don't know. I don't know, but according to Sheila Phyllis McCormick, you're racist because she's a black woman, and apparently in America, black women can do whatever they want. I say no to that. Goodbye, you old bat. It's called I'm sorry, followed by I'm a filthy disgrace. Try those words on for size. When we come back, whoa, let's see. You think New York City's bad? Virginia is on the fast track to destruction next.
What I just sent you.
Is it going to hurt my feelings?
Yep.
You don't even try anymore. Ah. Huh. That'll be a nice update. But see, here's my question. Do you believe it?
Yes.
You do?
Because if it happens, he's going to go
ape nuts?
Yes.
We have a little update for you on the 8 Iranian women. And this is what he said to the Iranian leaders who will soon be in negotiations with my representatives. I would greatly appreciate the release of these women. I am sure that they will respect the fact that you did so. Please do them no harm. Would be a great start to our negotiations. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So there's a 28-year-old woman named Venus who was taken into custody January 15th with the woman forced to confess. She was forced to confess to crimes against the state on public TV. That's how they operate there. Then there's the 37-year-old, an internal medicine specialist, who was arrested on January 14th and forced to sign a confession at the Karchek Women's Prison, according to the human rights group. Details on the other women could not be independently verified. Human rights groups have repeatedly accused Tehran of holding sham trials for those accused of defying the regime. January 6th. This is obviously a little bit more serious. More than 50,000 people were taken into custody during the demonstrations, most recently in January, according to the U.S.-based human rights news agency. And they estimate that more than 300 people were executed in the first month of the year. 300? I bet you it's more than that, right? Oh my gosh. Brock is spinning the hits today.
What?
The thing that you just got me about the UFO-linked U.S. scientist.
Oh.
Is it the 34-year-old? I have to read that. Yeah, there's a lot of shady stuff going on out there.
A lot.
You know, it ought not cost you your life. Not in America, it shouldn't. But so thank goodness I have a
So what I sent you this morning about Ron DeSantis, you don't think? So I saw something this morning that said Ron DeSantis is possibly a Supreme Court Supreme Court justice.
that he's apparently been talking to the president. So DeSantis's term is up in November. Well,
January.
Yes, he's done, but he serves and is replaced in January of next year. And you have Sam Alito and Clarence Thomas saying that they want to continue through this year.
And you know DeSantis is hard.
He's a thorn.
Maybe not MAGA, and people can argue that, but definitely conservative leaning.
I don't know, but what does MAGA mean versus what he
No,
is?
I mean, I think he fits with that mantra of let's do it the right way. Let's make America great again. Should be a
wow, this so I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
How would you like Ron DeSantis, Supreme Court Justice Ron DeSantis? Well, he sure as hell wouldn't be John Roberts or Amy freaking Coney Barrett, who have been widely disappointing. And Neil Gorsuch, meh. Even Brett Kavanaugh, meh. Like, I know that I'm pie in the sky on this, but I'm like, eh.
I want a Scalia. I want another Justice Thomas.
Yeah. I want somebody who's hardcore, badass, absolutely conservative by the letter of the law, but interprets things on a you are given inalienable rights by the creator, right? And you got a lot of other people who believe that your rights are created by your government.
I also think that since running for president, Ron DeSantis has been trying to make it up to the people. He's done everything that MAGA has wanted in Florida. It's almost like he's trying to make amends. He's trying to say, I'm sorry I was wrong.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes, but it's an interesting thing. I love our chances better than the Democrats. So let's hope that Thomas and Alito move out so that Trump has time to get the right people in. This is, Virginia is really, God, is it disappointing. You're watching a town become Gotham City. It's going to become Gotham City. Which town? That or New York? Hard to say.
Both are shite shows.
Mm-hmm. The Wendy Bell radio program. This just in. President Trump announces 8 women protesters who were scheduled to be executed tonight in Iran will no longer be killed. 4 will be released immediately, and 4 will be sentenced to 1 month in prison. President putting out on Truth, very good news. I've just been informed that the 8 women prisoners who are going to be executed tonight in Iran will no longer be killed. I very much appreciate that Iran and its leaders respected my request as president of the United States and terminated the planned execution. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So Brock and I are sitting here chatting about this off camera, and you got to ask yourself, like, how can you be sure? How do you take Iran or whomever is the mouthpiece who's communicating to the president, we heard you? And which group was that? Was that the old guard, the Ayatollahs, you know, the gay Ayatollah, the junior Ayatollah? I don't know. Is it the guy who we think has been kind of the more moderate negotiator? I don't know, but let's see. 8 women. Well, let's talk about what's going on in Virginia, because the whole vote thing, the whole gerrymandering, and the ridiculous map now. It looks like a wheel with spokes of the wheel and little pieces of this gerrymandered pie to ensure that the Commonwealth of Virginia, who gets 11 congressional seats, 10 of them will be Democrat now, and 1 will be a Republican. If nothing else changes, there will be 4 Republicans who will lose their jobs, essentially. They'll just be big-footed out of the equation. That's not the biggest problem right now. Abigail Spanberger's Virginia is being overrun by criminal illegal aliens. And I really feel for you if this is your state and if you are being impacted by this. And I just can't fathom how the people there don't see this. This is the story. Abigail Spanberger's regime oversees illegal alien crime wave. This has been percolating for a while, and it finally came to a head for me with some of these stories of absolute terror, of murder, of suffering and torture in America at the hands of freaking people who should not be here, with Democrats in full control over the Commonwealth of Virginia. Crime perpetuated by illegal aliens has run rampant across the state. A new report from Fox News overviewing 2026 crime statistics shows that illegal aliens have committed 75% of all murders in the D.C. area's Fairfax County. 3 out of 4 murderers in prison there is a criminal illegal alien, who, by the way, Abigail Spanberger wants to run interference for and make sure they don't get deported. And further beyond that, she'd like her officials in the state to not cooperate with ICE agents so that these dangerous murderers, pedophiles, kidnappers, human traffickers, drug dealers aren't dispatched, that they stay to terrorize more people in the Commonwealth. How does that make sense to you? It doesn't. The high levels of crime committed by illegal aliens comes as Spanberger has refused to allow law enforcement to cooperate with immigration enforcement to keep these dangerous criminals off of Virginia streets. The situation has gotten so out of hand that ICE has released statements pleading with the Virginia governor to not allow sexual predators to be released back into the community. I mean, I want to focus on that sentence. Imagine having to go to your governor and beg her to not allow criminals from other countries from raping our sons and daughters. That you have to beg for these people, these dangerous people, to get removed from your society because she doesn't want them to. Why? Honestly, why? Is winning an election by bringing in mobs of people who come with so much baggage, a lot of it mental, a lot of it criminal, is bringing them in and hopefully winning an election here or there more important than the safety and security of everybody in your state? Yes. Why? Why? The situation has gotten so out of control, right? That if it doesn't get, a lot of people there, the people on the ground, are saying it can't get any worse. I want you to hear this report, though. Fox, this is 30 seconds. I usually, this one reporter I'm not a big fan of. Her voice drives me a little bit nutty. But when I listened about 8 seconds in, I was like, what? Listen to this from Fox News about Virginia and about the illegal alien crime problem.
A handful of illegal immigrants have recently been arrested in Fairfax County, Virginia, for a wide range of violent attacks, such as the murder of an infant, MS-13 executions, stabbing a mother to death at a bus stop. Critics of Fairfax County leaders say they are prioritizing criminal illegal immigrants over Americans' safety. DHS reports in 2026, illegal aliens have committed 75% of all murders in the county.
And yeah, you've got a governor in Abigail Spanberger fighting on behalf of the criminal illegal aliens. Got it. So the Department of Homeland Security on their website has this article, and it's disturbing. It says DHS slams Fairfax County District Attorney's Office for offering insane 5-year plea deals to 2 illegal alien murderers. Today, the United States Department of Homeland Security condemned the Fairfax County DA's office for offering 2 convicted illegal alien murderers, Malden Anibal Guzman Videz and Luis Alonso Sort Portillo, an insane plea deal after the 2 stabbed a man to death in Fairfax County in 2024. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement requested Fairfax not release these 2 monsters from jail back onto American streets. According to local reporting, Portillo and Guzman killed a man at a popular park and walking trail in Oakton, Virginia in July of 2024. A community member found the victim's bloodied body in a wooded area and called local police. Can you imagine going out for a walk with your dog and stumbling upon a man who'd been stabbed mercilessly to death? In 2019, a judge issued Guzman a final order of removal against the Honduran illegal alien, but he remained in the country, went on to allegedly commit a series of crimes, including 4 arrests for assault, malicious wounding, failure to appear, larceny, and obstruction of justice. Guzman apparently robbed a local Greek family restaurant, was charged with malicious wounding after he assaulted somebody with a knife. So ICE asked the Fairfax sanctuary politicians to not release a criminal illegal alien from jail multiple times, but they refused to cooperate. They released him back to the community, where he then stabbed this 24-year-old dude walking in the freaking park. And I understand the gerrymandering, redistricting outrage of just ridiculosity. But this is This is life and death. What happened to us? What happened to the Democrats? What happened to you if you are a Democrat? What happened to your party? You used to value life, didn't you? Weren't you the party of safety and security and protecting people's rights and all of this? And now you support criminal goons, pedophiles who rape our children and who spread disgusting pornography, people who traffic human beings, who pluck them off the street and transport them with people like, oh, I don't know, the Maryland man as their chauffeur, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, transporting 8 illegals across the country. What are we doing? When did the Democrats stop caring about life? Did we not see this a long time ago with the whole push towards abortion? This indiscriminate, whatever, it's not really a human being. It's not really alive. It's just a thing. It's not a baby. What happened to you people? I don't know. But I do know that the DA in Fairfax County happens to be a guy named Steve Descano. He's faced all sorts of controversies, mainly over his progressive prosecution policies. And there are critics, including judges, law enforcement, and the Attorney General, Jason Miyares of Virginia, right? Accusing this guy, the DA in Fairfax County, where 3 in 4 of the people accused of murder are illegal freaking aliens. And the DA there is soft on the illegal aliens. Tell me why. Is it the same justification as the Southern Poverty Law Center paying the KKK, neo-Nazis, and other like Aryan Nation militant scumbag groups, paying them to go and create instances of racial tension? Get people fighting. Is that what they need? They need us dying. They need us afraid, terrified to never go outside. Is that the winning strategy for the Democratic Party? The Steve Descano guy, by the way, we should say, it's National Crime Victims Week. Of all times that we should have a conversation about this. United States Department of Homeland Security announced that U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement yesterday arrested more criminally illegal aliens convicted for horrific crimes, including molesting a child, possession of child pornography, rape, possession of heroin and cocaine with intent to distribute. That is what ICE is doing. People like Steve Descano and Abigail Spanberger and all of these sanctuary cities and states of suck are working against the good men and women, trying not to get them paid, trying to squeeze them out so that our streets will never be safe again. Why? Now, why would you ever vote for these people? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, all right, it's okay if you don't believe in UFOs, you don't believe in aliens. You're going to have to come around, though, because the proof seems sort of overwhelming. Let's go there a little bit next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Let me tell you guys, Ireland contracting. I've got a perfect storm brewing at my house. I've got backyard construction going on the patio of our house. And then I've got Gary Ireland and his crew who are coming over to tear out the roof and put in a new one. And somewhere in all of there, we've got the veterans coming to pick up a picnic table and chairs I have in the back of that. So everything's sort of crazy. So I say to Gary Ireland, I'm like, hey, Gary, the contractor is saying when you guys put on the new roof, can you start in the back and work to the front so that they aren't going to be in your way when they come on Monday or whatever. Gary's talking to me, trying to coordinate. Which owner of a company does that? I don't know. Gary Ireland from Ireland Contracting. And it's not just me. It's not because, knew, we have a relationship and he knows I'm going to talk about him. This is what Ireland Contracting does. They come to your house, they look at your home exterior renovation project, specializing in new roofs, specializing in new windows and softened and fascia gutters, downspouts, siding, all of it. But the new roof, right? And he comes and he gives you an estimate that's good for a year. So you have time to plan and save. Hopefully your roof can hold out. But this is what Ireland Contracting does. And then they hire the best Amish installers to go walk around like cats on your roof and put in a beautiful new roof for you. That's what I'm doing. Ireland Contracting. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. I will say picking out shingle colors isn't sexy, but
necessary.
I chose the safe one. I like to choose things that are a little off the wall, just not when it's $50,000. It's going to be there forever. So yeah, Crime Victims Week, National Crime Victims Week. Abigail Spanberger, what's going on, girl? What's going on? 2.24. Can we get to 2.5? 260. That's going to take 260 clicks of that thumbs up button underneath the video box. I would be grateful, but I'm not holding my breath. It's 10 minutes. Or let's just say until 2:05, 2:06 when we come back from the commercial break. Can you do it? I think you can. Oh, by the way, to Camellia. Look at what she gave us. Happy birthday, she says to me. We're going to celebrate for weeks here on the show. This is at the P.O. box. My piece. And then she printed it out and pasted it on. My girl. Thank you so very much, Camellia. And she said she's 72 and all of her friends listen to the show. Oh. And they talk about it. She says sometimes I may watch it the show twice, so as to not miss anything and to let it sink into my brain. Wow. She says I'm 72 years young. And it helps when I get together with my older friends, 70s too. And we like to talk politics. And we talk about your show and how ticked off you were today. We just love you.
Hey, in 25 years of radio, I've never heard a book club for a radio show.
I don't think that's what it is.
It seems like it's a book club. We all got to read the same book. We all got to watch the same show so we can talk about it.
It's so cute. It's so cute. 2.27. You guys, you really didn't move the needle there at all. Now I need 230 people.
They probably all talk about me.
I'm sure of it.
Wonderful.
I'm sure of it.
You're a horrible liar.
I'm not a horrible liar. Yeah, I am. You don't want somebody who's a good liar, do you?
I didn't say that. I just said you aren't a good liar.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Okay, so this is one of those things that I know a lot of people out there are like, come on now. Space invaders, little green men, spacecraft, flying saucers, get out of town. Well, unfortunately for you, you have a little bit of awakening to go through because it's true, and there is more and more demonstrable proof that various craft from somewhere else has crashed into our country. And there is research that's going on and it's a huge silencing cone of silence sort of thing. Last 80 years of silence. And more people are coming forward. There's a small House committee, kind of a UFO committee, and they're like, look, we're paying for these programs ostensibly through NASA or whatever to research what's going on when there is biological material or something crashes into a field. Why don't the American people know about it? And so they're fighting for transparency. They're fighting for the president to be briefed on what they know. Because Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee tells Piers Morgan, first of all, he doesn't think the president has a clue in the world what he knows because he gets all the classified briefings. But he tells Piers Morgan in this interview, I absolutely believe what people tell me is correct. And they show proof. Listen.
Have you ever seen any cold, hard, irrefutable factual evidence to support alien life?
Well, unless dozens of federal authorities are lying to me and pilots are lying to me, I get, and the pictures and videos and things they've shown me are complete fabrications. And if they are, then I guess I haven't. But have I seen a craft or anything fly over me that was unidentifiable? No, sir, I have not personally. No. But I do believe I have to question why a pilot, some of the best in the world, would risk their reputations coming forth and telling me this stuff. And the descriptions they gave were very vivid and very similar to what civilians and people that, and somebody even I know back 40 or 50 years ago had seen, and the descriptions were almost identical.
He goes into further detail, and he describes a former colleague who found out that Tim Burchett was on this committee, and he called them with a story.
I was in Nashville, Tennessee, of all places. I was at a dinner, and a guy used to be in the legislature in Nashville, but he's no longer in Nashville, of course, because that's just where the state capital is. He called me, and I remember picked up the phone. He said, "Timbo," he just said, "I saw you just on the on this alien show," and I thought, he was going to make some joke to me about it. And he said, when I was in the Navy, and he described a situation where they were on the deck of a ship, and this craft flew over them, and then it took off without any noise or anything, any disturbance around them. And he described it as something. I mean, he's a country boy, and I'm more or less a country boy. He described it as something about 2 city blocks, and he said it was circular in shape. And then he said when they went back to port, these 2 men came on the boat in suits and suitcases or briefcases, and debriefed them and told them that if they talked about that, they'd be busting rocks for the rest of their life if they were lucky. And none of them talked about it. I mean, that's just back when people did that. Nobody was looking for a book deal, or the internet wasn't around for them to get clicks on.
A cone of silence, he says. And the more he says that I come out, talk about what we're learning, the more people reach out to me. Listen.
I got a call from a former Air Force officer who described eerily something of the same shape, the same color, the portals that were in it. And, and then just this last week, I was in a skiff briefed on some stuff that was, didn't look anything like that. There's like 3 or 4 different groups that you see. There's the classic saucers. There's something that you and I maybe, or the scientific community, would describe as plasma. And then there's some of this other stuff that's unknown out there, or wedge-shaped things. So there's several different varieties that have been spotted throughout recent history. And these people had no connection with each other. Again, our military, I don't know if you know this or not, sir, but if they make a sighting like this, they're pulled off the line, and they will get a psych evaluation. They will literally get a blemish on their records. So it's not encouraged.
I never knew that. Did you? Now, why would that be? So when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, a Missouri congressman you've probably never heard of before joins Congressman Tim Burchett on the UFO media circuit. And he's like, look, even if you don't believe in UFOs, you need to be educated about this. And so does the president. Next. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Do you need to go?
Nope, go ahead. I heard wedge-shaped, and I thought of the Space Force logo, which would look like a wedge if you put it on its side, I used to think this stuff was all crazy. And then I started talking to people who were like, "Oh no," and I did the same thing that maybe some of you are still doing now. That's crazy talk. There's no proof. There's it's conspiracy theories. But then you get to the point where you're like, scientists are dying. Why are these people dying? Weren't we supposed to trust the science? So it's, to me now, it's, I don't know, it's interesting. And it's interesting to find out the transparency. I think that's what I think I'm most interested in is, what don't we know? What aren't they telling us? And you wrap that in with even COVID, is the fact that they wanted to hide this for 75 years. They wanted it, can't come out for 75 years. It's just, I want to know what we don't know. I think that's the most, that's what's really intriguing me when it comes to this kind of stuff, is what don't we know? What aren't they telling us?
What do you think?
Oh, I totally believe it all now.
Yeah.
And I think wrapping it up, instead of just the little green men
Yeah.
that we've always heard about,
Right.
with the scientists dying, trust the science.
So did
except when it's,
you say what just happened? You want to read them what just came across from that one gal? So there's another woman who died in 2022 or 2023 whose death is now being linked to these other 11 or whatever. There's now 12, I think.
Mhm.
And she had apparently put out message to friends and were like, I'm not suicidal at all.
the fifth soundbite, the final soundbite coming up, I said this earlier, is
Some
just,
wild stuff, guys.
and
going
it's
on
all sort of making sense now, because you're hearing about the military technology, and now it's not a conspiracy anymore. We know they have this equipment.
We know that there are people who don't want advancements in motion, in how we travel, in engine speed, all of that stuff. They don't want that stuff getting out because they're invested in how it is now.
I also said, what I thought of when Tim Burchett said wedge, think of the Space Force sign.
What do you mean?
It would, if you put the Space Force logo
Yeah.
on its side, it'd be a wedge. It'd look like a doorstop, for God's sake.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
No, you don't think?
No.
Wow.
Here's what I know. That gold is a fantastic investment. Silver is a fantastic investment, and that there are ways that you can get gold and silver into your life without coughing up thousands of dollars right now to pay for it. If you have an IRA, you can get gold and silver put into it. You can do all of these things, and you can do it with our friends at Texas Bullion Exchange. WendyLovesGold.com. They're my guys. I got a guy, and it's WendyLovesGold.com. These are my people. I've bought from them multiple times. The process is seamless. They are super helpful. They are extraordinarily explaining of everything. If you have questions, they're not like hard sell, like buy now. They want a relationship with you. They want you to keep coming back. And beyond that, they want your children as well to come to them and to invest in precious metals through them. And you should, because they're phenomenal and I trust them implicitly. It was a great experience, 100%. Everything I've done with Wendy Loves Gold, Texas Bullion Exchange, off the charts. 855-927-5557. 855-927-5557. WendyLovesGold.com. Love these people. Love these people. They could not be more supportive of what we do. They are geeked out to be a part of your life. Right? That's what I want. Okay. We've just got one there. And
I just find
one
all
there.
this stuff
It is
interesting.
It is very interesting.
I want to know what we don't know.
The death stuff I could do without,
Yes.
but it brings a kind of cloak and dagger sort of sleuthy, where's Scooby and Shaggy when we need them, right? Well, if they're neutralized with some unexplained weapon, we'll know what's going on.
And I like Tim Burchett because he tells you enough without leaking. You know, it's
So does this Eric
digging
Burleson
yourself.
guy. This Missouri congressman looks like he's seen a ghost. He literally does. It might be his resting face. His resting face might be, but that's literally what he looks like. He looks like a deer. He almost looks like he's been
It's the same thing Tim Burchett
jarred.
said.
Like,
If you knew what I knew,
yeah.
it would keep you up at night.
You wouldn't be
That's
sleep.
what this guy looks like.
You would need REM sleep.
You would. I don't know. Is it that strong?
I don't know.
You might need some wacky tobacco to
Wow.
knock yourself out.
Wacky tobacco.
You know, Mary Jane to talk you to sleep.
Thank you so very much for the explanation there. I do appreciate that.
Might be the only woman men can handle.
It's
Mary Jane.
Oh my gosh. Some maybe. Some not.
Maybe you could be as crazy as nothing.
Is this lopsided?
I'm going back. I like this.
Sorry, guys. I'm all
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane,
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
Angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. You know, I think there's a lot of things that we're going to need slowly to figure out. I think it'll be introduced to us in little bits, little bites, instead of a grand smorgasbord that's overwhelming. I think certain things like alien life, like, spacecraft that has reportedly crashed here in our section of the planet, and that our military and that scientists and researchers are examining these things, and that there's a long list of archives in the National Archives, in fact, that chronicle all of the things that have been found. This has been going on for years and years and years. In fact, I was poking through the National Archives because I have no social life. And I went back to like 1918, where people here in America were chronicling odd experiences. Well, Eric Burleson is a congressman from Missouri. He represents Branson and Joplin, Missouri, if you're familiar with the Show Me State. This isn't a guy who gets a lot of play, but he happens to be with Tim Burchett on this committee to investigate unidentified alien or aerial phenomena. And he comes out and he's talking to, I forget who he's talking to. He's talking to Benny Johnson. And he sits down with Benny Johnson and he's like, look, this president and his administration, I don't think they know what's really going on with these UAPs, or UFOs, as you will. And he describes the information that he has learned from classified briefings. He says he doesn't think the president has been plugged into these files and videos and reports of alien encounters. Now, he kind of walks that tightrope because the things that he's gotten have been classified. He has had to go into SCIFs, these secure, compartmentalized areas where they go, and you're not supposed to share this data. But he goes pretty far in this interview. Audio soundbite number 1. Listen to how this Missouri congressman describes these alien machines movements, like no engines, no wings, but the ability to, like that, disappear from view. What?
I've seen multiple videos, some that are clear as day, that it's a metallic type orb with a very smooth surface, looks like a huge beach ball that's made of aluminum, and is somehow able to take flight. I have no idea. I mean, it doesn't have any kind of wings. It doesn't appear to be a balloon. It's not a balloon. The way in which it maneuvers is clearly not a balloon. So I've seen those videos. I've seen those objects from a distance in other videos where they seem to be flying at incredible speeds. And we've also heard a lot of reports of these items that are showing up in our airspace, so over military airspace, which is extremely disturbing.
Now, this Eric Burleson has said that he has not publicly commented to believing the objects are extraterrestrial, suggesting other possibilities such as advanced man-made technology or even non-material angelic explanations. Dude, just say it. We're ready. We're ready to hear the truth. And let's go. And he says, look, Benny asks the question, I believe. He's like, are there aliens in these spacecraft? Is American scientists or researchers, are we working on studying any of these biologics? Listen.
I've also seen videos of things that I could only describe as like a ball of plasma or something that looks, it's just wild looking. Just almost looks like some kind of glowing nebulous object. And sometimes they move and sometimes they just sit still, or sometimes they will appear and completely disappear. So there's something weird. I don't know what it is. And I'm not going to jump. A lot of people jump to the conclusion and say, oh, it's alien, it's from another planet. I don't know. We don't know. It could be some of our military contractors that are experimenting on some form of advanced technology that's not mainstream. It could be an adversary that's working on it. And I'm not going to completely eliminate the fact that maybe it is something that's not from Earth, but that's something that I think that we have to be looking into this, because this is a national security issue for sure.
This is a national security issue for sure. Yeah. Right? And imagine if you could harness whatever this technology is, and you're Iran, and you can all of a sudden, like I Dream of Jeannie, bonk your head and be like, boing, there you are, about to kill somebody, right? Like, where do they come from? That's a national security issue. Yeah. And the congressman continues. Benny asks the question we all want to ask, and the congressman gives the answer we don't want to hear. Here it is.
Could you describe for us, perhaps, like, what is the most disturbing thing that you've seen in these classified settings?
I would say the recent one that I received that was described to me, that it was a military base. They had a lot of eyes on these objects. They almost had planned to try to at least capture one, or try to get at least gain more information. And these things were very evasive. There were so many people that saw them, and there were multiple objects all at once. So for me, walking away from that and understanding that our military doesn't have any idea what's going on. Our intelligence community has no idea what these things are. That was disturbing to me. I was kind of hoping that they would at least have some indication or some insight as to what these are, but they don't. Or at least they claim they don't.
At least they claim they don't. So who's working on these projects? If he says the administration doesn't know, the military doesn't know, well, who knows? Why have we had 12 now missing or killed researchers who can all be connected in some capacity to these developments of unexplained aerial phenomena or what have you? And Burleson is referenced hearing about a crashed or hidden alien craft, which he just talked about, described as so large that it cannot be relocated. And he has said that he's scheduled to visit the site, which he notes is in a U.S. friendly country, widely speculated online to be South Korea. They built a building around it. It's so big, they couldn't move it. So they're studying it. And then people who might be studying this or other phenomena just end up disappearing or being found killed. Audio soundbite number 4. Eric Burleson, a congressman from Missouri, says to Benny Johnson, you know, this report of this huge craft, listen to what he says about it.
You made a claim this weekend that I thought was remarkable, a craft too big to move. Can you unpack that for us?
I was told that in a skiff and also outside of one that there is a craft at a location in a foreign country that is too big to move. They built a building around it. It's in a foreign country, and it is a U.S. installation. I can't say anything more than that.
It's on like a U.S. military base installation.
I can't really say anything more than that. What I can say is that it would be quite a trip to get there. I'm going to continue to do research.
So, Brock, do a search for me. What kind of U.S. installations, military installations, are in South Korea? Because this morning, we're talking about this, and it was like, what is that, Antarctica? Because he says it's somewhere that is very difficult to get to. And so Brock and I are like, where could it be? Why don't we know about this? Because the people who are investigating are getting paid with our money. What are you doing? And why is the president unaware of this? Then this is the one that gets weird. This is the mother of all bombs. It says, tell me about the 34-year-old researcher who was worried for her life. She was worried about her life, who was then found dead in a reported suicide. Here's this.
Amy Eskridge was clearly distraught. She was telegraphing to friends and family that she was being harassed. She engaged the services of a former British intelligence officer who was investigating the harassment or the strange things that were happening to her. They were able to determine that she was the victim of what others call the Havana syndrome, which we now know is the result of a directed energy type weapon using microwave energy. This is well documented. I think 60 Minutes was one of the first to document what was going on to her. Multiple people in our intelligence community. So I personally know several others who are still dealing with the unfortunate lasting effects of Havana syndrome. So that's not a controversial or speculative or wild idea. It's certainly been documented, well documented. But I'm not certain if the other scientists experienced Havana syndrome, but Amy, it was. I think that they had significant evidence that she was a victim of that.
A 34-year-old researcher who was found murdered, who they tried to say committed suicide, though prior text messages and reports to people, she was like, look, I'm not suicidal. I have no plans on killing myself. So if somebody tells you that's what happened, I did not. She had the presence of mind to tell people that, to text friends that. And this guy, a congressman, is telling us that she was killed by a directed energy weapon. Is that kind of like the stuff that we used to get Maduro and his wife? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I don't know. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, while America's students were learning in class yesterday, teachers in Virginia turned to their students and turned them into left-wing activists. This is the crap that's got to stop. Clarence Thomas said so too. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So what did you just send me? Let me see.
70?
What? U.S. military installations in South Korea comprise over 70 sites. The largest is Camp Humphreys. Camp Humphreys. Let's see what Perplexity is going to do for me because it's a liberal. Is Camp Humphreys where the huge UFO is? Let's see. It's going to be like conspiracy theorist, and here comes an ad for Reynolds Wrap. There is no credible evidence. The huge UFO too big to move is at Camp Humphreys. Current reporting points to a different location in South. Well, which one? The claim comes from whistleblowers and commentators such as David Grush and Dr. Stephen Greer, who say the U.S. government has recovered a massive craft that is so large it cannot be secretly transported, so a structure was built over it. If you are self-employed, if you need better health insurance, if you're tired of giving so much of your monthly paycheck to insurance that doesn't help you, why not get the ultimate creme de la creme, a la carte, make it yourself insurance plan? How do you do that? info.healthrevolution.net. That's how you do that. info.healthrevolution.net. I'd rather call. So I would call 800-868-6187. Bingo. 800-868-6187. I was good the first time and then I melted down. So this is what it is. And this is our friend Tom Yakupin. This is his business. This is why we support this. If you're on Cobra, if you're self-employed, if you're paying for your own coverage, or you're just done overpaying and you're under the age of 65, Health Revolution will custom design a plan that's built around your life. Why pay for things you don't need? Like maternity coverage. If you're enrolled in an Affordable Care Act marketplace plan, you're not stuck. You can get into a private plan today. Our plans pay more benefits before the deductible than the Affordable Care Act marketplace plans. This is real insurance underwritten by an A-rated company, not a discount or share plan enrollment process, right? It's easy, it's quick, no physical exam required, which means you can use this anywhere in the U.S. 30 to 60% less than what you're currently paying. No copays, reasonable deductibles, and the freedom to see any doctor you choose. You're welcome. info.healthrevolution.net. Yes. Okay. Let's see. I'm so interested in some of these other things.
That guy looks like he could use some gummies.
What are you talking about?
To relax. You should call Demanda. Find out what works and what doesn't work.
Why would he call Demanda?
Find out what kind of gummies and...
Why would she know? Wow. You're just telling everybody what people do? Wow. Oh my God. Like, that's awful. Why would you do that?
Oh, I told her.
So, hey,
I'm kidding.
Hey, now I'm kidding.
I told her I was going to do it.
Uh-huh. Wow. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Jeez. Demanda, it's a lawsuit. I would say so.
Right. Only if it's false.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Look, I want to read something to you in the next half hour, and I strongly encourage you to hang out. Did you know that Clarence Thomas did not speak a word during the first 10 years of his tenure on the Supreme Court? 36 years into it. 10 years, didn't say a word. He is the least speaking of all of the Supremes. And so when he speaks for an hour about something, I think it's pretty important. And so I'm going to share it with you after the next break. But this rolls right into it. I want to read this from Breitbart.com. Teachers tell students to push parents to vote yes on Virginia gerrymandering scheme. Can we just get back to teaching reading and writing and math? We focus maybe on the STEM. Yeah, we can do the STEM stuff, the science, technology, all of that. Engineering and math. But instead, we have a public school apparatus that is using our children as pawns to create clone troopers that then go out into America and perpetuate this progressivism. These ideas that ICE agents who are trying to find criminal illegals who are rapists and murderers, pedophiles, drug dealers, they want to fight against those people. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. But this is what's going on in Virginia. 2 public school teachers in Fairfax, Virginia, oh, shocker, abused their position by telling their students to pressure their parents to vote yes on the state's gerrymandering scheme. This is a woman named Kelly Sadler. She told the Washington Times, Friday, I picked up my 14-year-old twin boys from school and both jumped in the car and asked whether I was voting yes on Virginia's redistricting measure Tuesday, she said. That's a no, she told them. She then wondered why they asked, as her boys know exactly how I feel about this shameless power play by the liberals in Richmond. Turns out, she writes, that in both of their civics classes that day, taught by 2 different teachers in Fairfax County public schools, they were urged to go home and persuade their parents to vote yes. She adds that the teachers use the same talking points being spewed by endless Democratic campaigns by telling the students that a yes vote would make the state's congressional maps as fair as they can be to, quote, stop Donald Trump at all costs. While running for office last year, Democrat Governor Abigail Spanberger promised not to rig the congressional map of the purple state with a gerrymandering scheme that would hand 10 of its 11 congressional districts to Democrats, when, as of right now, they have 6 out of 11. Obviously, that 6 out of 11 best represents the state. Kamala Harris only won by 5 points. But because the Democrats lie, one of Spanberger's first acts after assuming office was to launch her scheme to rig the congressional map. This woman is a progressive dynamo. She is the darling of the party. Why not run this woman for president? She pushes all the right buttons for the left. We'll know the results tonight. This article says, well, we know what the results were. They pushed through that gerrymandering. Look at what's happening in the public schools. Taxpayer-funded schools have become super PACs for the Democrat Party. It should be a fireable offense. Worse still, people with zero ethics are getting hired as teachers, a profession where the well-being of the child should take precedent over all things. But instead, we have teachers, and there are plenty more examples in this one in Fairfax, abusing their authority in order to brainwash children to come between parent and child and to indoctrinate them rather than teach them to think critically. So weird as I think back to the 45 communist agenda goals that were read into the congressional record back in 1963. This is a big one. Drive a wedge between the parent and the child, right? Give teachers that role. I don't like how your parents are raising you. I can do a better job. So let me use my time, not teaching you critical thinking skills, not teaching you about American history, but I'm going to teach you how to listen and obey. Well, it's interesting because that's exactly what Clarence Thomas, the least speaking of all the Supreme Court justices, decided to spend an hour talking about the other day. And you should hear it, and you will, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Okay. For all the people outraged, I was kidding. For the love of God, I was kidding. Jeez. You people act like you ain't ever tried it. You act like you don't go everywhere.
Look, I didn't inhale, so.
Right. You act like if you don't go everywhere, you smell it.
I want to tell you guys about collagen. It was very interesting that the wellness companies add for their peptide Toothpaste Smile talks about collagen and how important this protein is in our bodies. It's so important for your cartilage as you get older, right? If your bones aren't being connected by the right stuff, you get that, it's called crepitus. Collagen. You want some collagen. You want strong bones. Collagen. You want great hair, skin, and nails. That's collagen. You want your gut working correctly so things move the way they should. That's collagen, right? This is the building block of your body. And sadly, as we get older, and it starts early, like 30, your natural collagen level goes into the toilet. And so I've been drinking it. Collagen peptides from getnativepath.com/Wendy. Getnativepath.com/Wendy. Up to 45% off. The Native Path specials for our audience are off the grid. This is pennies a day. This is not a big lift. It's sprinkle it in your coffee. You can even put it in water. You won't taste it. Collagen peptides, 100%. That's what I've been doing. I believe in that company. I know who they are, and I trust them very much. And I don't want to go down without a fight. So, I know, right?
I saw a funny meme online.
Uh-huh. Kind of a jerk. Kind of a jerk.
A lot of self-righteous people.
Oh, or people getting fussy on you.
Well, you know, like if Demanda was a pothead, do you really think, hey, I'm an open book. I've tried it.
Yes. Yes. Every intersection I smell pot. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. How many times have you said,
Freaking
I went to the car wash?
Got a
Oh,
contact
God.
eye. I mean, you can't help it. It's every single car wash. Does everybody go to the car wash to all smoke weed? Like, is that everybody's in their car?
They're all
going,
vacuuming out the weed smell of their car.
I'm like,
they're all
oh
there
my
with
God.
sniper.
100%. That's what would do it. Knockout.
I don't understand why, like, I'm not big on the smell.
It's terrible.
Like when I was in college,
It
I
smells
didn't
worse
touch it.
today. I'm telling you what, it smells awful today. I don't know what the bejeebers they've done to it.
I didn't touch it till I was in my 40s. So
neither did I.
And then I'll tell you about my first experience. And my wife, you went to Colorado. You got a contact high just walking through
Wow, that's a stereotype. Hurry up, because I have to say something nice about somebody else.
No, go ahead.
I want to tell you guys about the healthy fat, and these two go together for me because I drink the collagen in my healthy fat. This is the drink from Dr. Gundry that has done so much for him. And I think what he likes the most is his gut health out of taking MCT Wellness. It's a dietary supplement, and it works in many ways. The production of ketones, production phenols, polyphenols, very big play in this. And if you know anything about these products, about these things, it helps you a ton to lose weight. Calm those cravings, crush your appetite, jumpstart your gut, and lose significant weight. Again, and he's very quick, Dr. Gundry, is to say this. Don't drink this if you don't want to lose significant weight. MCT Wellness is what it's called. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy is how you get it. Great video, very informative, and you get a nice discount. Again, none of these things breaks the bank, but it's all tools that you can have in your daily struggle just to survive and not be a fatty boba laddie. Right? It shouldn't be complicated. But when you're always at the plateau and you feel like you never move the needle, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Sorry, Brock, go ahead.
All right. I'm not Bill Clinton. I did inhale my first time.
Why do we care?
We don't.
Why did you tell people that?
What?
Why did you tell people that?
Did I inhale?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Okay. Well, I thought that maybe they were jumping on you.
No. I got all paranoid. I was at home and I was telling Kate, I can't move my arms and legs. She's like, you just walked up the stairs. And then she laughed at me, and yeah, I was all kind of like, I was paranoid. I'm like, I don't like.
And that was from a gummy?
No, that was from pen.
Oh.
I was like, I don't like the way my eyelashes are touching the TV. She's like, go to bed. And then I got to bed and I'm like, she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I can't move my arms and legs. She laughed at me. Next time you see her, ask her, what was Brock's first time like?
So why would you ever do it again after that?
Well, gummies are different. It's not like I'm
Is there a
choking them down.
benefit? Is there a benefit for?
They lessen seizures. And they lessen them.
I
They
can see
lessen
it.
severity
I can
and
see it.
frequencies. I mean, if I knew that to be the case,
He'd
100%,
be in there.
I'd be choking them. I'd be eating them by the handful. You'd be like, push a button. I'd be like, where's the button? Meanwhile, I got 20 in front of me.
What's the button again?
Yeah. Hey,
Is
Wendy.
that touching it?
I'll tell you what, I'd rather get behind a high driver than a drunk driver. That's 10 miles an hour.
I love this article. I stumbled upon it this morning in the early morning hours. Wasn't expecting it, but it spoke to me. I love Clarence Thomas. You know, I watched the confirmation of his appointment to the Supreme Court when I was much younger. And I remember watching him and hearing the Democrats try to say all sorts of terrible things about him and seeing his face. I think I kind of fell in love with him when I watched how much people on the left wanted to destroy him. And he's been such an amazing jurist. I want to read you this article. It's called Clarence Thomas Breaks His Silence and Issues a Warning. And for somebody who doesn't talk much, it's one that we should listen to. And I wanted to share it with you. Again, this is at the Washington Examiner, but it's behind a paywall. So I just wanted to share it with you now. During his 34 years on the Supreme Court, Justice Clarence Thomas has been a Sphinx-like figure, speaking the fewest words of any of his peers. He once went a whole decade without asking a single question. When he decides to speak, however, people take notice. And last week was such a case. Thomas spoke for an hour on one of the gravest threats facing our country, progressivism. It was such a clear indictment of what he called alien ideas that are incompatible with the American way of life, that people haven't stopped speaking about it since. Fittingly, Thomas delivered the address at the University of Texas at Austin, praising Dean Justice Dyer's new school of civic leadership for its mission to revitalize Western civilization and constitutional tradition in American higher education. A studies by a Rutgers professor underscores Thomas's point. It's a groundbreaking working paper containing the only large-scale survey in a decade showing beyond doubt that hardcore leftist professors have captured the university almost completely. This trend started half of a century ago and is at its peak now, with professors who espouse progressivism controlling about 75% of the faculty, while the conservative colleagues hover about 10%. If you wonder how a smarmy communist with a dangerous economic idea like Zoran Mamdani could be elected mayor of New York, look no further than this phenomenon and the warnings of Clarence Thomas. Sarah Lawrence professor Samuel Adams, or Abrams rather, put it this way in the Wall Street Journal last week. After nearly 2 decades of teaching American politics, I've noticed a striking shift among my students. They're arriving to campus not only skeptical of free markets, but openly embracing democratic socialist ideas. It's all by design. Thomas, a national treasure, is right that these socialist ideas cannot be squared with American principles. And the left's long march through the institutions has been so successful that he warned, as we meet today, it is unclear whether these principles will endure. Thomas traces the introduction of socialist ideas into the United States to intellectuals who a century ago disdained the American founding's emphasis on natural rights and instead preferred the foreign idea that the government, and not God or nature, bestowed rights on people. The chief introducer was an academic and former president of Princeton University who turned to politics, became governor of New Jersey, and then entered the White House in 1913. This is what Clarence Thomas told his hosts in Austin. At the beginning of the 20th century, a new set of first principles of government was introduced into the American mainstream. The proponents of this new set of first principles, most prominently among them the 28th president, Woodrow Wilson, called it progressivism. Since Wilson's presidency, Thomas added, progressivism has made inroads into our system of government and our way of life. It has coexisted uneasily with the principles of the Declaration because it is opposed to those principles. It is not possible for those two to coexist forever. Progressivism was not native to American soil, he noted. It came from a place where both of the 20th century's worst scourges, communism and fascism, came from, Germany. Wilson and the progressives candidly admitted that they took it from Otto von Bismarck's Germany, whose state-centric society they admired. Progressives such as Wilson didn't like Madisonian ideas of limited government, nor indeed did they much like the U.S., just like the progressives of today. And Clarence Thomas added, Wilson argued that America needed to leave behind the principles of the founding and catch up with the much more advanced and sophisticated people of Europe, and called Germany's system of relatively unimpeded state power nearly perfected. He acknowledged that it was a foreign science, speaking very little of the language of English or American principle, which offers none but what are to our minds alien ideas. So here's Clarence Thomas saying Woodrow Wilson back in the 1918 era was talking about progressivism then, going against this idea that we are all created equal, inalienable rights, yes? And he's right. Woodrow Wilson indeed held our founding in very low regard. In 1911, a year before he ran for president, he said, we are not bound to adhere to the doctrines held by the signers of the Declaration of Independence. We are as free as they were to make and unmake governments. We are not here to worship men or a document. And then the year he entered the White House, he said other things that were just as radical. So to Thomas, this must appear as heresy. The 77-year-old grew up in Jim Crow, Georgia, and as he told his Austin audience, he learned firsthand that his rights did not come from government, because the local and state governments were at the time emphatic about taking away his God-given rights. When a man's of Thomas's life experience and achievement puts the importance of the Declaration's second paragraph, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. In such personal terms, you have no choice but to listen. He said those truths were self-evident to the adults in our lives and were taught to us as indelible, undeniable truths. Those around us would endure, could endure the insults of segregation with dignity, because they knew that in God's eyes, they were equal. Small wonder then that this great American speaks of the need for something we began to lose with Woodrow Wilson and have lost sight of again in 21st century America, a blind devotion. It's a word he repeated 17 times in his remarks, to the founding principles. To Wilson, the unalienable rights of the individual were, quote, a lot of nonsense, said Thomas. Yet that devotion has driven the great achievements and the heroism of Americans in the 250 years since. And then this was the heart of his warning. It is that devotion that we are missing today and that we must find in our hearts if this nation is to endure. This is, of course, a time to instill that devotion again. This is, after all, the year of the nation's semi-quincentennial. I don't even know that word, 250. As Thomas said to the dean of the University of Texas at Austin, your plans could not come at a more important moment for our nation when we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. The very values announced in it have fallen out of favor. So there is an article that Clarence Thomas, research article that Clarence Thomas talked about in his speech. And it was put out by a guy named Nathan Honeycutt from the University of Arkansas. And he did a study of all of the faculty, 8,000 faculty all across the country. Most recent study in the last 10 years about the political leanings, the slant and bias of those who teach the students. In the United States, conservatives have outnumbered liberals for the past 30 years, or as far back as Gallup studies show. The most recent numbers indicate that 36% of Americans identify as conservative, 35% as moderate, and 26% as liberal. But his survey sample of 8,167 tenured or tenured track faculty participants found that 74% identify as liberal and only 10% as conservative. And he talks about the fields that are the most lopsided, humanities and social sciences. Those are the most biased for liberals, whereas engineering and business schools are more conservative. But the numbers are extraordinarily slanted. So this is the rub. For the purposely obtuse who may ask what any of this has to do with Thomas's call for renewed devotion to the founding principles of America, right? Another Gallup poll showed that among Republicans, 92% say they are extremely or very proud to be American, while among Democrats, the number's 36%. Democrats, not self-described socialist Marxist radicals and other whatever, leftists. We're not going to get to the devotion that we need, Clarence Thomas says, to the founding values, as long as this lot continues to pour Marxist rot into the brains of our college students. President Trump has demanded that universities take the public dime, must create real diversity in the faculty lounge. Not racial diversity, but diversity of viewpoint. It's not a fight that Trump can abandon, as one of his favorite justices can tell him. Why was that so important? It's taken 50 years to get to this point. It's got to stop. I remember when my college, the University of Colorado at Boulder, put out something in its campus alumni magazine that I get. Of course, they were so excited because they were starting a new program called the Visiting Scholar of Conservative Thought. Because it's so biased at the campus in Boulder, Colorado, that there are 6 liberal professors for every one. They had to bring in one really high-ranking conservative thought leader to offer probably sparsely attended lectures and other things. How do you fix that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, you fix it like the woman who says her sons tried to convince her to vote yes on Virginia's gerrymandering. You stop it at home. You stop it at home. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Democrats officially dump, John Fetterman. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, this is some Pennsylvania state news for you. Next. I agree with what he says. And you go and you look at the survey, and you've got 75% of these tenure-track professors aren't just Democrat. They're liberal. They identify as liberal, not, well, I'm like a union member. I support unions and my hard hat and steel toe boot wearing guy. No. These people These people. And Clarence Thomas is like, look, if we don't instill in our children this great sense of civic pride and love, it's game over. They become the next leaders. Anyway, I liked it. I wanted to share it with you, so thank you for humoring me. More Gains Fitness. All you need to see is before and after, and you know what she's all about. How about that? 90 days. Would you guys like this? From here to here in 90 days? How does she do it? Well, it's not magic. It's fewer calories, more exercise, but you got to know how to do that. Kelly Morgan, More Gains Fitness. That's it. MorGainz Fitness.com. You can do it from your house. You can do it from your own house. You give Kelly Morgan 90 days, she will give you your abs back. Period. And then finally, I want to thank my friends at bloodflow7.com for sharing their GLP-1 Gold with me. I've turned multiple people onto this. People have stopped me in stores and been like, what's that product that you like from that company that kills your appetite and boosts naturally your GLP-1 hormone, the one that signals from your brain to your belly that you're full. And I'm like, it's called GLP-1 Gold, and you can get it 30% off by going to bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Again, this is one of those things for them to come out and be like, don't do this if you only have a couple pounds to lose, because this is linked to dramatic weight loss. Dramatic weight loss, GLP-1 Gold. Go to bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Everything there is 30% off for the Wendy Bell Radio family. I agree with Clarence Thomas. I agree with what he says. And I'm so happy that we didn't send our kids to the public school. But what if you don't have an alternative? Should your child be indoctrinated by groomers? Whether it's this LGBT nonsense that's going on, or whether it's this crazy activism against America.
Just think about that, though. Think back to, I'm trying to think, I took civics in like 8th or 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't talk about stuff like that. I mean, politics wasn't as prevalent.
They didn't bring up the president's name. They wouldn't say, let's talk about President Reagan. They're like, all right, so here's how the structure of government works. Now it's get Trump. We have to fight Trump. We have to resist Trump.
We won't hang his picture in our room.
Our democracy's at stake. What does that even mean? Describe what that means.
Yeah, here's the thing, civics. Why don't you teach constitutional republic instead of democracy? Tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say save democracy, one of your kids
We're
might
not
raise their
a
hand and be like, we're not a
democracy.
democracy.
That's a great way to get an F in the class. I would
Yeah, right.
imagine, right?
Yeah. I had a liberal professor like that in college.
Oh, yeah. And they force you to decide. You're
she was
either
a-
going to play the game to get the grade, or you're going to make a stand because you refuse to cave.
She was a vagina hat wearing.
Hairy-legged.
I didn't see her legs, but I would assume. But I didn't play the game, C. My roommate did, A.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to regurgitate the political ideology of your professor to get a good grade. Of the United States Supreme Court doesn't tell us that terrorists from Iran are the number one threat to the United States. He doesn't talk about anything financial. He doesn't get into religion. He doesn't get into addiction. He doesn't get into corruption. He says it's progressivism. Progressivism. That will be the end. Huh. Well, I want to say this to all of the Pennsylvania state Democrats in the state house, state legislature. who are throwing John Fetterman under the bus. They don't think he should run for re-election. They think he's very disappointing. This confirms that there is one Democrat out there who you might not agree with all the time, but who does have common sense. It's the guy who had the stroke. Pennsylvania Democrats are reluctant to support Senator John Fetterman for re-election. According to a new report, Punchbowl News spoke to several Pennsylvania congressional members Monday about whether they'd be willing to endorse Fetterman for another term, blah, 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 despite the backlash he's been facing for opposing the Democratic Party. Has he been opposing the Democratic Party, or is he not just willing to get in line and do whatever they say? Do they not have dirt on him to blackmail him and bribe him? Probably not. Do you really see John Fetterman, at a bunch of drug-fueled orgies? I'm sorry, I don't. But you've got this Punchbowl News reporting that they don't like how he's opposed their policies. No, he thinks for himself. And he believes that if the president of the United States rings you and invites you to a personal audience to break bread and have dinner at his private estate, Mar-a-Lago, that you go. He's like the old school form of government. The guy who stands out like a sore thumb, right? Who they all rallied around and tell, oh no, he's not a blank check. He's not a rubber stamp. He's not going to do everything that we say. I think this is fascinating. Is it going to be possible? Would you rather vote for John Fetterman to be reelected in 2028, God willing he's still alive, or roll the dice on some other toxic Bob Casey Jr. hack who would be worse? Wouldn't it be amazing if it was Republicans that actually saved his career? Like, I want to vote for the people who love this country. And John Fetterman said, to me, it's country over party. It's country over party. And if my party is doing stuff that I think is bad for America, I'm not putting my name on it. No outrage. Though the House members did not explicitly reject the idea of Fetterman running again, they avoided answering whether they believed Fetterman should seek a second term as a Democrat. I wonder. I don't want him to change to be a Republican. John Fetterman is a Democrat. The Democrats left John Fetterman. The Democrats became progressive. That's why I wanted to read to you what Clarence Thomas said. He doesn't talk a lot, but he hears it all. He sees it all. And of all the things that he could have gone and specifically chose a bastion of progressive politics and what have you, Austin, Texas, the University of Texas, Austin, right? I'm so glad my son Jack, who wanted to go there, didn't. I wouldn't want to dismantle what they try to create, right? For Clarence Thomas to say progressivism, the same that trying to sink John Fetterman right now, for being a common sense, America first Democrat, this is what we're up against. Look, if you've got children at home, if you've got a liberal daughter, I'm telling you what, you have an obligation as a parent to be like, pal, I got to set you straight. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have been brainwashed. I believe as parents, that is our responsibility. Period. Good luck, John Fetterman. I don't think he becomes a Republican, but I would see Republicans coming forward to support him and to keep him in office longer. I do. All right. There's already new developments in this whole UFO thing, this alien thing. I know. I'm on it. If there's stuff to share tomorrow, I'll be here. Same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you and love you. Peace.